Hey, pardon the interruption. I wanted to take a second to thank our first sponsor, BetterHelp. Let's be real, work can be a lot. Whether it's that one coworker who emails you like it's a legal battle, a boss who thinks urgent means right now, or just the quiet dread of another Monday. Sometimes you need more than venting to your work friends. That's where BetterHelp comes in. It's therapy, but online. It's flexible and built around your schedule. You can chat with licensed therapists by text, phone, or video. There's no waiting rooms, no commute, no awkward small talk with strangers in scrubs. It's not too weird. Your mental health matters, and not just when you're in full meltdown mode. Even a little support can go a long way in helping you feel more grounded, more focused, and honestly just more you. More human, want to feel like a person again. So I've used BetterHelp. It's great. I like it personally. I can vouch for it. So if you've been thinking about therapy, check out betterhelp.com/workfriends. You'll get 10% off your first month just for trying it out, just for being part of the crew. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/workfriends with an S, workfriends. Take care of your mind. Work will be there tomorrow. And we're live.
Woo!
What's going on? We're here with Ree. How's it going, Ree?
It's good. What's up, my guy?
Not a whole lot. So this is another episode of Work Friends Podcast. I am your host, Tyler. I've brought Ree in here this week, who is a teacher at the moment.
At the moment,
and has been for the last couple years, right?
7, yeah. This
Nice.
is my 7th year.
7 years.
Isn't that wild?
That is crazy.
7 years of youth
That is
have
nuts.
come past me.
Gone, flown out the window. Just kidding. We're still there.
No, I
We're
mean,
s-
hopefully not.
No, we're still young and youthful. We got all kinds of stuff going on. But you've been a teacher for 7 years. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Can't believe
It's
that.
like, in some aspects, it's like, oh my God, yeah, it feels like 7 million years have been. In some aspects, I'm like, wow, okay, like, didn't I have my first class last year?
Right, I was
Like,
gonna say, well, it feels like it's been both forever, and it feels like it hasn't been long at all.
at the same time,
I've known you
yes.
since you were in college.
Yes.
That's where we actually met.
Yeah, the first time we like met was an experience.
What happened? I don't
You
really-
took me to the hospital
Oh.
because I had appendicitis.
Well, that's exciting. Do you want to tell everyone how that story went down?
Let's start it off with a kick. So
Yeah.
how Tyler and I met, he was dating my suite mate at the time, and we were just little freshmen moving in. Tyler was here and there in our suite, but when he was over, they were kind of hanging out, and the rest of us were either gone or hanging out in the other room. But we knew Tyler, we knew who he was. This was August of 2014, and then November 9th of 2014.
Very specific.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So,
I don't even remember what I had for breakfast this morning. How do you?
okay. So the thing is, like, later on in my senior year, I broke my foot on the same day, November 9th. So our friend Sierra swears up and down that I'm going to die on
Okay.
November 9th.
So we
So
can stay away from
here's
November
for the
9th.
record. If I ever die on November 9th, that's just
Oh
the
my
calling.
God, that's
Like,
terrible.
yeah, it's kind of crazy. But anyway, so the November,
than
I'm
that.
pretty sure it was November 9th. It was either the 8th or the 9th
I was just
of
thinking
November.
that-
I woke up feeling real terrible, and everybody thought I was hungover.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I was like, no, I didn't even drink last night. I'm not hungover.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm terribly sick. But I was in so much pain that I was getting sick. Because the pain was so bad. And so I was texting with a friend who was an EMT at a different college, but we were good friends from high school. And he told me, he was like, if it doesn't get better by like 3 or 4 p.m., you need to go to like the school, whatever it was called, like the health center, the student health
right,
center.
student health center.
And so
what colleges have.
3 or 4 p.m. came around. I was still in terrible pain, awful pain. And so me and Sierra and then our roommate Carrie, they walked with me from our dorm to the student health center. And by the time we got over there, I was like doubled over in pain, just crippled in pain. And they were closed.
No. What?
Yes. And so we called you
right.
because
Okay, I
you had a car on
This is where I came in.
campus.
That's right.
Yes,
I
this
was
is, yep.
cool.
Yep. You were a year older than us. You had your truck on campus,
did.
and none of us did. And I was like, I can't walk back to the dorm. I was in tears. It was like, there's no way. And so you came and got us and drove me to the hospital,
I
where
remember that,
I later
yeah.
found out that I had appendicitis.
So it's a good thing you went to the hospital.
Yeah, it was great. I had no family there. Obviously my parents were here in
Right.
Prince George, and so yeah, y'all chilled with me, stayed with me until I got out of
I
surgery.
remember that. That was I hung out in the hospital and everything.
Yeah,
it was a good time.
it was
Well,
the start
wasn't
of
a
a
good time.
blooming friendship.
That's right. I said it was a good time. It wasn't a good time for you.
I mean,
or really
it
anyone
wasn't-
involved.
It wasn't. I mean, it was an experience.
That's right. Yeah, it was the start of a blooming friendship, like you
Yeah,
said.
it was the first time I've ever been in the hospital.
That's exciting. I was happy to be there for that.
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate it. So that's how the
Landmark.
friendship of Tyler and Ree came to be. Yeah,
With catastrophe.
Yes.
But it's fine.
it's cool.
We made it.
We did.
So you went to Longwood, obviously.
Yes.
which
So
got
from
where-
the start,
Yeah, let's go there.
I am born and raised in Prince George, Virginia, and went to high school at Prince George High School. We
Cool.
just have one high school.
Okay.
And during I honestly was not sure what I wanted to do with my life.
Yeah.
You know, some people grow up and they're like, I want to be this.
Yeah.
And they do it, you know, since the time they're little. And I know when you're little, you go through phases. Oh, I want to be a firefighter. I want to be, when I was little, I wanted to be a pilot.
Nice. That's sick.
Really random.
Like a commercial airline pilot?
I just, any pilot. Like, I just wanted to fly a plane. I was just obsessed with planes, loved them, wanted to fly a plane. That came and went, you know, obviously.
I get that.
But, you know, older high school years, freshman, junior, sophomore, I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And then one day, I guess junior year, I was like, you know, maybe I want to be a teacher. And our school, Prince George, has this dual enrollment program, and it was called Teachers for Tomorrow.
Okay.
It's now called Teachers of America or something like that. I'm not
This is
sure.
while you
but
were in high school?
yeah, so this was my junior year. I was like, I want to be a teacher. And so my senior year, I signed up for the Teachers for Tomorrow program.
Okay.
And it was basically like a college course. I'm pretty sure it counted it was in semesters. So you had a semester 1 and a semester 2. And the first semester was all in classroom stuff.
Oh, wow.
I'm pretty sure it counted for like Education 101.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is like the very first, like the intro
Yeah,
level
yeah, like your
teaching course.
intro to education, basically.
Okay.
And so I did that, and then the second half of the year, so semester 2, was what they call in teaching a practicum, where you are assigned a classroom teacher, and you go to that classroom, you work with that teacher, you learn stuff over time. You might teach a lesson or two to the kids in that class.
Like student teachers, like
Kind of,
in
yeah.
elementary
yeah.
school. I remember they'd kind of come in and
Right. So like student
teach a
teachers
lesson or
more at that stage, you take over the classroom
oh, okay,
and you do the grunt end of the work.
yeah, like all the
Or the brunt end.
Brunt end.
Yeah,
Brunt end,
not the
it's
grunt end. Maybe
the
you are
brunt-
grunting while
yeah, you do the brunt end of the grunt work.
Yeah, sure. There you go. Yeah. So that's more of like student teaching, whereas a practicum is more observing.
Oh, okay.
Right. Like I said, you might teach a lesson or two,
Yeah.
but it's more on the observing side.
You're like watching.
Right. So I was assigned to a kindergarten classroom in Prince George County.
Okay.
And I would do, throughout the semester, we went like twice a week for half days. So we would leave the high school at like 12 and go finish out the rest of the hours
Okay.
at the classroom that you were assigned to. And you could kind of pick and choose where you wanted to go.
Oh, like what school you wanted to go to?
Not necessarily what school, but like a grade.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So like some of the people that were in the class with me were more interested in teaching high school.
Okay.
So they assigned them to like a middle school class or like a junior high class.
Okay.
Um,
I was gonna
where-
ask how like you'd send a high school student to go teach other high school.
yeah, I think
don't
I think
know.
they tried to avoid like
That.
the high school, whereas
Yeah.
we had a junior high. So I know a lot of people don't have that. So let me explain this really quick.
Yeah,
Prince
what's-
George
I've always
is
wondered.
I know Prince George has a elementary school which is K through 5.
Okay.
We have a middle school which is 6 and 7.
Oh,
We have a junior high is 8th and 9th.
what?
And then our high school is 10, 11, 12.
Okay. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
So
really
you have
weird.
four
The
schools.
really
That's
weird. The
only in
split
your
up.
county. In Prince
I'm pretty sure for like surrounding areas around here. Yes,
Interesting.
I've heard of other counties doing it,
Huh. All right. Yeah.
but I don't know that they're split up the same way either.
Huh. Yeah. No telling.
But yeah, it's really funky. But
That is
yes,
weird.
so
I've-
yeah,
I've heard that like term, but I've never really thought. I
Right.
always thought it was just another word for middle school. Was like junior high is just another word
yeah.
for middle school.
Some people, yes,
Okay.
but Prince George, it's literally something totally different.
Weird.
Yeah, very interesting. But anyway, so I guess the people that wanted to do more high school level, they tried to put them down at the junior high,
Okay.
so that they weren't with their
Like,
peers
yeah, that
at
makes
the high school. That would be my I don't remember fully because I'm not teaching high school.
Sure.
So I was more interested in elementary ed,
Yeah.
and I requested kindergarten, so they were able to place me with a kindergarten teacher, and I loved it. There were times, we could leave at the end of high school time, which was like 2:30 that we got out.
Okay.
So we just had to do our minimum time
Yeah.
and log that time, and it was fine. And there were times that I was there with my paired teacher until like 5 o'clock, helping her grade, helping her clean up the classroom, hang up kids' artwork, whatever they were doing,
Nice.
because I just loved it so much.
That's cool.
And I think that really like sparked me in the right direction.
Awesome. Yeah,
And
it's
I'm
good that you-
really excited that they had that program, because I was able to really get a feel for it and
Yeah.
be like, okay, yes, this is what I want to do. Whereas other people went in and they did it and they were like, okay, yeah, no, this is not for me.
Yes.
I do not want to do this.
And it's good on both like fronts. So you
Right.
can find out that if you want to be a teacher,
Yes.
I think if you want to be a teacher, it's something you probably should really love. and enjoy.
100%. Honestly, you need to either get into some sort of program like that
Mm-hmm.
or substitute teach.
That's smart. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, which is what I did too. Once I got enough college credit, I did come back to Prince George. I applied to be a substitute teacher, and I did that on my time off.
of
Because like colleges, their spring break was different from like the elementary school. So like while I was here, I would sub.
Oh, so like during the summers and stuff, you would sub in college or? During...
Yeah. So at the time, colleges got out, beginning of May.
Yeah.
And Prince George still went to like the middle of June. So that was almost a whole month for me that I could come home and substitute teach.
Oh, nice.
And
Okay.
so I did. So like when, Longwood would get out, I would come home and teach, and you substitute teach until the end of the school year.
Okay.
Whenever they had, openings throughout the county and stuff
Okay.
like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was in college.
Yes, that was in college. But yeah, I mean, I highly recommend it. If you think you want to be a teacher, like if your high school has a program, look into it, to do it in high school. Or, once you get enough college credit, sign up to be a substitute teacher, because
Yeah.
it's eye-opening.
I'm sure. Just get that firsthand experience and like actually able to deal with like students and things
Right.
like that. And,
Oh, yeah. And I mean, subbing is, a different ball game, but it's still a look into it for sure.
It still gets you that interaction, like FaceTime with students and stuff.
Yes, yeah, and to see what you're going to be dealing with.
Yeah. What was the name of that program called in high school?
Like I said, I think it was Teachers for Tomorrow,
Teachers for
and
Tomorrow.
now I want to say it's like Teachers for America or Teaching Across America. They've changed the name of it,
Okay.
so I'm not exactly sure, but it's something like that. They still do it.
Okay, we'll look at it. So it's like a national program that probably that they
From-
Teachers for America. Sounds like
It's it's got to be
Yeah.
something like that.
Okay,
And
cool.
now
We'll
they
look
do
into it.
something really cool, and like if you complete the program, the school board will recognize you and give you a certificate, and like you are, you're welcome back
Yeah.
to a teaching position in Prince George County when you graduate.
there you go.
I'm
That's
like,
pretty
man,
cool.
where was that when I was in it?
I
I
was
mean,
gonna
shoot.
ask.
Which no, I mean, yeah, we got like a special sash at graduation.
But you didn't get the like guaranteed job. offer
Nah,
after? Oh,
no,
okay.
nah.
Of course, that came later.
No, yeah, but I mean, subbing really got my foot in the door. That's honestly like how I would say I really got to go back to Prince George as a teacher, because now that's where I teach now. If we missed that, I don't know, maybe.
I don't know if I mentioned it.
I've come back, I've circled back around, and now I'm teaching back where
Nice.
I went to school.
So
Not the
the-
same elementary school, but
Oh, okay.
same
but the
county.
same county.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's,
yeah.
That's cool. So that same high school rather that you went to,
Yes,
that
yep.
you attended.
Yes.
Now you're back and you're teaching
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah, just at the elementary level.
at the elementary level.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, wait, you don't teach.
Yeah, yeah. But at the school that I did the most substitute teaching at ended up being the school that I got hired at.
Okay.
My senior year, when I went in, I, talked to the principal, and I was like, hey, he was like, yeah, I've seen you around, subbing, like, and I said, I'm about to graduate college, like, can you let me know if you have any openings for next school year? I'm about to graduate. And I ended up getting an interview. Actually, they called me while I was on family vacation at the
nice.
beach, and they wanted to interview me then on the phone. And I was like, I'm at the beach. And they're like, that's fine. Like, we'll call you back tomorrow around 10 a.m.
Nice.
And I was like, we could just do it over the phone. And I said, okay, like I don't have anything with
Yeah,
me, like
sure.
to prompt me or
I feel
whatever. And
Unprepared.
yeah, and they were like, no, it's okay. And I said, all right. So I ended up interviewing over the summer, and then got the position there.
What is up with that? That it always seems like jobs, like new jobs, always seem to want to interview you when you're on vacation.
I don't
Like,
know.
I can't tell you how many times I've been interviewed while on vacation. for a
Really?
new job. probably, no joke, probably at least 4 times.
That's crazy.
This job, I was on vacation when I got the call. I think when I got offered and when I got the interview for this job.
It's just good vibes on
Yeah,
vacation,
true.
man.
That's
Like-
probably what it is. You're probably right.
But anyway,
University.
yeah, so I finished the Teachers for Tomorrow program in high school, my senior
Cool.
year, decided that is really what I wanted to do.
That's awesome.
Longwood, Longwood is the teaching school.
Okay.
Um,
They're
so
known for like teaching and nursing too, right? Or-
yes,
but-
yeah,
okay.
nursing. They have a very good nursing program.
Okay, but mostly teaching.
Mostly teaching
Okay.
for the most part. If you don't know, Longwood is a small, tiny little university in the heart of Virginia, Farmville, Virginia, good
Farmville,
old
Virginia.
Farm Vegas.
Farm Vegas.
You're only 2 college town,
Yeah.
Farmville and Hampton, or Longwood and Hampton, Sydney.
right, yep.
Yeah. So I
Go
applied. What?
Go Tigers.
Go Roll Tigers.
Roll
Tigers.
Oh, roll Tigers
Yes.
now. Excuse me.
Yeah.
My bad.
So I actually did same day admissions.
For Longwood?
Yeah, for
Nice.
Longwood. When
so
I
you knew you wanted to go there.
yeah, I
right
was
out of-
like, this is where I want to go. This is where the best teachers come from. Like, if you want a teaching degree, you go to Longwood.
Okay.
So that was my top choice. I didn't look at anywhere else.
Yeah.
So I did a same day admission. So basically, I took my application we traveled to Farmville, which is like an hour and 20 minutes from here, Prince George. And I went to admissions office, turned in my, application and all that. And while they reviewed your application, you did a tour.
Oh, cool.
And they let you tour the campus.
Nice.
And then once the tour was over, you came back to admissions and they told you whether or not you were accepted.
That's pretty sweet. Were you with other people or was it just?
Yeah. So you were with other group, but they like called you in individually
Okay,
to let you know like whether or not they accepted you or whatever.
Gotcha.
And so we did the tour. My best friend, longtime friend, Courtney, was going to Longwood. She's your age. She's a year older than me.
Oh, okay.
So like we met up with her because she was on campus. She showed us some extra stuff. And then
a little behind the scenes.
yeah, a little behind the scenes
Yeah,
stuff, which is pretty cool. I felt so cool because
Yeah.
I knew somebody who went to Longwood.
Yep.
And
You were a high schooler. hanging
Yeah,
out at college
yeah,
student.
yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yep, and came back and they told me that they had accepted my application and that I could attend in the fall. And I was
awesome.
like, well, I guess this was like the fall, so it would be the
Yeah.
next fall.
Okay.
So I got accepted fall of my senior year,
Okay, that makes
and
sense.
they were like, "Yeah, you're good to go." And so
So you were just
I
cruising.
sent it. I didn't apply to any more
That's
awesome. I was like, okay, cool, I'm done.
Nice.
And-
you were happy as a clam just to go to Longwood.
Yeah, I was totally content with
Nice.
it. And looking back now, I'm very happy still, like kind of with my decision. But at the same time, my only downfall with Longwood
Okay.
is they don't have a football team.
Yeah, that bothered me too.
Yes, and in high school I was a cheerleader.
True. I was gonna ask
So I cheered. I cheered every Friday night football game. Cheered basketball as well.
Oh, man, okay.
Loved both.
you were
Absolutely.
year-round,
Oh
pretty
yeah, year round. And so like I was so used to going to football games,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's Longwood, and we're undefeated, because they had no team. But that was my only thing that I really didn't like.
Was that there's no football?
Right. And then, you see people, for example, who like go to Virginia Tech and the games are huge. And now they go back as alumni and they tailgate. And I've been to a couple of, Tech games.
Yeah.
My friend lives up that way.
Nice. I've actually never been to one of those. I really need to.
Okay. So
I've heard they're a lot of fun.
honestly, not a big Tech fan.
Never mind. All right.
But
I'm not even
it's fine though. But the games are so fun.
I'm not even a football. I don't give a shit about football.
Oh, see, I love football.
I just like going to stuff.
Oh yeah, but so anyway, I've been to a couple Tech games and like going back as an adult and like seeing all the alumni tailgate, and I think that's so cool
That is
and
really
so
cool.
fun. And to not have that with Longwood like kind of stinks. But their basketball team
True.
is now very up and coming.
They are, right?
And they've been to March Madness twice now.
Were they in this past?
No, they didn't make it this past season.
I don't do sports either, but I was in the March Madness bracket though.
Yeah, that we made.
How'd I do?
I don't know.
I did pretty.
I was doing pretty good for a while,
You were.
and then all of my like top 4 teams did not make it.
I did pick
Because
Florida.
I picked some upsets.
Oh, did you really?
I did.
I
yeah.
did pick Florida to win it. So I mean, I don't know what that means.
You probably earned some points.
Probably.
I,
mean,
know.
I
I
think
deleted that because
they
I was
were-
real mad.
They were there. Did you really?
I'm real competitive.
I get that,
So
yeah.
like, once all of my teams were done,
Done with
like
this. I don't
number
wanna see
2,
it.
number was St. John's. They were like ranked 1 or 2. I don't know. They had they were a good seed, top seed.
I think Florida was.
They lost in what, like the first round?
Did
My
they
whole
really?
bracket was just
Yeah.
messed up. I said, okay, I'm done.
Probably you and
So
everyone
mad.
else. Yeah. That's so funny.
But anyway, that was my only downfall to Longwood. Like the only thing that I didn't like. It was a good distance away from home, which I'm an only child, and I know my mom and dad are going to listen to this podcast because they're
Hello.
very supportive. Hi,
Hi.
mom and dad,
Hi.
Keith and
Hi,
Donna.
Mom. Hi, Keith and Donna. Hello.
But I really felt the need,
Sorry
like
for my potty mouth.
they listen to Eli, so I
Oh,
think
okay,
they'll be
never mind.
okay.
Sorry for Eli's potty mouth.
Anyway, I really felt the need to like go a little bit further away to college
Yeah.
and, kind of figure it out. And like I said, it's only an hour and 20 minutes from here. So I felt like it was far enough, but not too far
Definitely.
of a
Yeah.
travel. And that came in very handy when I had my appendicitis. Cause I'm gonna tell you right now, Keith Traylor made it to,
Definitely.
Longwood in about 45 minutes.
I remember. That's when I first met your dad, too.
Yes,
I believe he
yeah.
was there.
Yeah. So,
I think. She
I
was
mean,
there also, right?
yes. Oh, yeah. They both came. They were out at dinner when I called them.
That's right.
Yeah, and I told them that I was going to the hospital, and by the time we had gotten there, I was randomly started feeling better, and I was like, don't worry about it. Like, don't panic. Like, I'll let you know what's going on. Don't feel the need to come up here now. And then they ran all the tests, and they were like, oh, you have appendicitis, and we're going to take you back for surgery in 20 minutes. And I was like, oh. All right.
I just told my
And then,
parents I was fine.
Right. Yeah. And, all the nurses come in and doctors come in. They're asking you all these questions.
That's crazy.
And, right. And the lady said something about, like, who's here with you? And I was like, well, this is my sweet mate. And she was like, your family? I was like, I haven't had the chance to call him yet.
No.
Like, and she was like, what? I said, no. And no, it's been nonstop. She was like, oh, well, call him right now. And I said, okay.
As you're like on the gurney going back. For surgery.
Almost, yeah. But yeah, so it, close enough, but far enough away for me to like kind of live my own college life.
Yeah, I get that. That's kind of why I chose Longwood too, is
Right.
because I had, my grandfather lived out there, and
Yeah.
I had that radio job.
Yes,
He kinda
I
helped me
remember
get.
that.
And then I was working at Laser Quest at the time too, like on weekends. So
Right.
I'd drive back and forth on the weekends.
Okay.
So that's my excuse for why I never, hung out and did anything cool, because I was working.
Right. And so this is also a really fun fact about me and you in Longwood.
Uh-huh.
My junior year and your senior year,
Okay.
we lived on the same floor.
yeah.
Never saw you once.
Yeah, I was a hermit. I didn't do anything.
And it was like not a big, okay, so it was not, people were like, oh, I saw people on my, people on my floor. And
Yeah.
this was not a big apartment building
Not
at all.
In my defense, I was at the very end of the hallway, so like there's no reason for you to pass my room,
No, but you passed on my room,
True.
our apartment, all the time.
Oh, maybe. I'm so sneaky.
You would have had to pass our room all the
Man,
time.
I'm such a turd. I never said anything to
But
you.
I think but we never saw each other. I'm
Yeah,
not even kidding.
true.
I never saw you.
I really never did. No, I
There
never
was
saw
never
you.
any passing, not in the elevator, not in the stairs, not in the
It
hallway,
wasn't-
nothing.
It wasn't like I was like avoiding you or anything. Like,
But I just find that to be so funny.
is funny.
Like I never saw you.
To be fair, I guess I never really went to parties and stuff like that. I kind of just hung out in my apartment most
Yeah,
of the time.
I get that.
but
Yeah,
I don't
I'd
know.
say I was probably in the thick of it of my junior year.
True. I had that. Yeah, true. Because you did like Greek life and stuff. too, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
I wanted to
yeah,
ask you about that. If you mind
Yeah,
taking
that's.
that?
I mean, okay. So I rushed. Longwood does it in the spring. So I rushed in the spring. And so I was being recruited very
Okay.
heavily
Oh.
by Sigma Kappa.
Okay. Is that common like among Greek life? 'Cause you're
Yes.
the
So
second best-
honestly, that is the best way to grow your chapter.
Okay. Is by recruiting.
Is
others?
by recruiting. Yeah. I mean, you got to talk to people. You got to figure them out before it comes recruitment time.
Sure.
Because, so many faces come through. If you know someone beforehand and you have conversations with them beforehand, go out to lunch, go out to dinner, take them out to a party. I mean, you learn way more about that person
Yeah.
than in a 10-minute conversation where, in all honesty, you can turn it on and turn it off.
Definitely.
You can tell people what they want to hear.
Yeah. Shit,
Which
you figured me out.
Right, which is what some people are really good at. And sometimes I'm pretty good at that too.
I'm pretty
But
decent
yeah,
at it.
so I would say the best way to grow a chapter is to recruit.
Okay.
So I was being recruited very heavily by some Sigma Kappas
Okay.
who my friend Courtney introduced me to.
Oh,
She
okay.
was actually a Kappa Delta. But she really felt strongly that I would fit in with this group of girls and introduced me to a couple of them. Hung out with them a bunch at Longwood and hung out with them during winter break. So even before I went to Rush, I did
off school time.
Yeah, off school time.
Nice.
Actually met up. They invited me. A couple of them invited me to Williamsburg.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so hung out with them then too, and then rushed upon coming back in the spring. So right before the spring semester started, and really interesting fact: Longwood does a 3-day recruitment. And so like each day you narrow it down, and on the last day they call it preference day. So the night before preference night, I had this crazy dream, and I was like, I am going to get my card and there's going to be nothing on it.
Oh no.
And I could not sleep, just was psyching myself out. And so preference day came and we got our card with who we had been invited back to see, different sororities that wanted to see you back on the last day.
It was like the final interview kind of?
Yes, pretty much, kind of. And I had one sorority on there, and it was not Sigma Kappa. And I chose not to go see that sorority because I couldn't, for me, I couldn't see myself fitting in with that chapter. And it was nothing against them.
Yeah.
I just didn't really connect with anyone that I had talked to.
Right.
And I didn't feel it fair for me to go back and pretend that I would want to be with them and potentially take away a spot from somebody else who may have wanted to be there.
Wow.
So
it's a very profound outlook you have on that. Yeah.
Well,
definitely.
I mean, I didn't want to be fake.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
They weren't who I wanted to be with. They were not my top choice.
Yeah.
And so I dropped recruitment altogether.
I respect that more than you just doing, you know what I mean? Yeah, definitely.
So,
cool.
and I mean, I was devastated, because I had been heavily recruited by these girls, and I was like, what the heck? Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, what
and
happened?
So it ended up, lines got crossed, and now that I've been on the other side of recruitment, like, I don't know truly what happened. But either way, right before, they call it bid day. So right before they gave out bids, or as they were giving out a bid,
So
meaning,
can I ask what this means? 'Cause
so a bid,
this is the thing I've heard for.
yes.
when it was
So a
going on
bid is
decade
an offer to become a part of the sorority
now. Okay.
or fraternity.
Okay.
And so as they were handing out bids to those that completed the rest of the round, they actually called me, and the girl one of the members who was in charge of recruitment, so one of the girls, extended me a bid.
Oh.
And so I
Over
just
the
like,
phone?
through the phone,
Oh,
over the phone. And so I like ran over to the building that they were doing it, and this happens all the time. Like, they'll either up numbers after night after they've taken your first round of bids. They'll be like, oh, you can take 3 more girls.
Oh, nice.
And then they'll extend 3 more bids to girls they liked, but just for some reason, weren't selected the first round.
Yeah, sure.
And so anyway, they
Is that
hadn't.
coming from like a higher up, like a corporate, not corporate.
It
like
comes from the
because sororities are national.
Yes.
Organization.
So, but the extent of extra bids usually comes from the group at the college.
Okay.
So the council there at the college.
That makes sense.
They try to do it so that some sororities tend to be more popular than others. So you don't want this one sorority receiving 50 girls and this other sorority receiving 5.
That would be sad.
Right. It's not even. Where they want to keep chapter members, so each sorority is called a chapter. They want to keep the numbers as even as possible.
Across all colleges?
Right. So they'll be like, not across all colleges, at that certain college.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So, like, for example, like at Longwood, we were a pledge class. That's what everybody who receives a bid in a certain time frame. So, like the spring of 2025 was 2015. Whoa.
Whoa.
Whoa. Rewind.
2025 is now.
Yeah.
You're just talking about like your teaching class.
I know. Woof. No, the spring of 2015 was my like pledge class. So all the girls who got a bid in that time frame, there were 20 of us.
Okay.
Who received a bid.
Wow. Okay.
Whereas like down in like Alabama, the big southern schools, it's like 150 girls.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Crazy.
Humongous.
Absolutely wild. So anyway, they were, giving out bids, and they called me over the phone, extended me a bid over the phone, and I was able to run like to the building where everybody was getting their bids, received like my actual card invitation.
Oh, nice. Okay, so they did have a physical one.
Oh yeah, I've got it still
cool.
somewhere.
Oh, you still have it?
Yeah, I
Somewhere.
still have it. Oh yeah.
Nice.
And received that and was able to participate in walk. So that's where which is more, they should call it run, honestly. But they like call your name, and so they would be like, Rhiannon Traylor, Sigma Kappa, and I would like run to the girls that were already in the chapter.
Oh, I've seen that before.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I remember those
So I was
videos.
able to participate in that,
Okay,
which was
nice.
like super cool. And I'm like
That's fun.
bawling. And the girl who recruited me really, really heavily, they didn't tell her that they had called me to extend me a bid. So she was upset the whole day, didn't participate in the last round, wouldn't talk to anybody.
Oh, wow.
She was very upset.
She was going up to bat for you.
Oh yeah, she was. Oh my gosh, she's my big now,
Nice.
and like I haven't talked to her in a long time, and seen her obviously since leaving Longwood. But like she was a huge impact on my whole college career.
yeah.
Still love her to death.
Oh, shout out
and
her.
yeah, shout out big. And anyway, and so they didn't tell her that they had extended me a bid, and so they like pull her to the front of the group, and I'm like standing in. She sees
nice.
me standing in line,
Oh,
and
that's
she
really nice.
starts bawling. I start bawling.
It's like fairy tale.
I know it's like a movie theater
Yeah, it is
moment.
like the movie, yeah.
But yeah, so I did the sorority, and so I kind of lived the sorority life a little bit. Went out to parties, stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah,
I
but
never experienced that like at Longwood, and I kind of regret that. I mean, I don't know. I had a good time at Longwood, but I was just kind of hanging out with
Right.
mostly myself and
honestly,
a girlfriend.
yeah, and I feel like if you go to Longwood, because it's such a small school, you have to be involved in something,
Yeah.
or it's very boring.
Yeah,
Like there's
it was
nothing
pretty-
else to do there,
It was
really.
kinda
Like,
boring.
so I feel like you've got to do, some sort of Greek life, whether it's the social aspect or whether it's the academic aspect of Greek life, because there's both.
Yeah,
Or a club or a sport of some sort. Otherwise, Farmville is just
True. I tried
There
all
ain't
that
nothing.
stuff. I tried out for ultimate frisbee. I threw up at the tryout, so
Okay.
I didn't. It was hot in my defense.
okay. I tried out for the cheer team at Longwood.
I was gonna ask about that.
Yeah, I didn't make it. But that's okay because I ended
you
up
read my
having
notes?
appendicitis. No, I didn't.
Okay.
I should have been like, yeah, man, I'm prepared. No, I ended up, that I tried out before I had appendicitis. So had I
okay.
even made the team,
I remember you
I
trying
would
out.
not have been able to participate the whole season.
Yeah,
So
that would have been a
but
catastrophe.
college cheer is most college cheer is very different than high school cheer. So I really don't know how much I would have liked it anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I was more of I say was, I sometimes I like to say am. I no longer cheer. I wish I did. I just love it.
coach cheering, though, right?
No, not anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did I cut that?
No, it's all right.
Okay, I
we
mean,
can
I'll
talk
cut it.
about that later.
Yeah, I would like to ask. I was gonna ask you about that. It's also in my notes. So
So I'm more of a sideline cheerleader, meaning I like to cheer like to a football game, to fans, for a basketball game. So there's sideline cheer and then there's competition cheer.
I hear you.
And competition is more you compete against other cheer teams. Very much a lot of like high energy, tumbling, stunting,
like,
stuff like that.
Champs and stars. And
Yes.
Those ones.
Yes. Yeah. So I never did competitive cheer. I participated in our comp team 1 year in high school,
What's a cop team?
a competition team.
Oh, competition.
Yeah,
I thought
they
you
call-
said, cop team. I
No,
was like-
comp,
like police
COMP.
team.
No, and I only got called in 2 weeks before the competition because another girl broke her arm.
Okay. Wait,
and they're
what was
like,
it? This was at Longwood or
no, this was in high school.
In high school, okay.
Yeah, and they called me in and they're like, we need you to learn the routine.
Oh, in
And
2
I
weeks?
was like, okay.
All
And
right.
I just did it. But yeah, so I never did competition cheer. I don't tumble. I don't flip.
You don't do upside down.
Nah, I'm not a flipper.
Nah, no.
No.
Not a flipper.
Even my cartwheel is crooked, to be honest with you. People are like, what? This girl's a cheerleader. She can't even do a
I don't
cartwheel.
even think I
Like,
can do a cartwheel. So
my cartwheel is like half cartwheel, half back walk over.
that's what mine is.
Yeah,
I
it's
think,
real funky.
Yeah.
But yeah, tumbling, not my thing. So I'm a sideline cheerleader.
Okay, I got you.
And college cheer is more like tumbling, stunting,
Yeah.
which I do love to stunt,
Getting
but
thrown up in the air and stuff like that.
yeah,
Okay.
and or competitive cheer, and that just wasn't my forte.
No, which is okay.
Yeah, and so you know what? I mean, in the moment, yeah, I was really sad that I didn't get to cheer,
Yeah.
but after like going to several basketball games and seeing that their cheer was very different than what I was used to, I was like, you know what? I'm not sure how much I would have liked it anyway.
It's for the best.
And and that's no offense to them. They've really changed. Like Longwood cheer actually went to nationals down in Florida for the very first time ever.
That's impressive. Good
Yes, and they got like 9th out of 20 some teams.
That's pretty good.
For their first year, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's better than half.
Yeah. So, so I tried out for that in at Longwood. Didn't work out for me. Went through Greek life. Yeah. Almost didn't work out for me. But it did.
And it's probably like if you had, say, you'd done like the cheering thing, maybe you wouldn't have been able to do the Greek life thing.
Yeah, it's very difficult to do it. One girl in our sorority who was actually in my little family, my sorority family, she was like my aunt.
Oh, yeah.
In our family line, I guess you could say. Okay. Yeah, it's weird. She was my big's twin.
Oh, all right.
So my big sister.
So can you explain all the big and little and sister and twin and aunt?
So everyone in the sorority, everyone in the sorority is a sister. Of the sorority. You get a big sister who's like a mentor. To you.
Usually like an older.
Yes.
Person.
Yeah. And so that girl, obviously, she also had a big before, right? So she was a little at one time. Yeah. She had a big. So that girl is like your G, your grand big.
That makes sense.
So think of it like mothers. Like,
easy. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Easy. And so like my big had a twin. So like two girls who had the same big. Their littles together. One girl took two littles.
Oh, I see. All right, got it. Okay.
Right. And so that she was her twin,
Sorry, I don't know
which would make her like an aunt to me. I don't know.
I follow you. Yeah, I get you.
It's kind of funky.
I follow you. I got it.
Yeah. Think of like your mom.
Yeah.
Your mom's sister is your aunt. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
There you go. All
right. Yeah. I'm overthinking it. It's as easy as we think it is.
It's fine. But yeah, that's how that works.
Okay, cool. Good to know. I never really understood. So
it's a lot to it.
All right. Well, it's good that you were, like I said, it's probably for the best the cheering thing didn't work out because then you wouldn't be able to do the sorority thing. And so it all kind of works.
It's a lot of commitment. Yeah. College sports, which I mean, I know high school sports, you're very committed. At least I was.
Yeah.
But
so let's go back to high school too a little bit. So this podcast, I like to talk about work a little bit. It's kind of evolved, but
I love it. Yeah.
In high school, did you have any like side jobs or anything while you were doing the teaching thing?
Oh yeah. So there's a little family restaurant, literally 2 minutes from my house, where I grew up.
Yeah.
And it's called Nanny's Family Barbecue.
Okay.
It's buffet style. They do have a menu you can order off of if a buffet is not your thing. But it's one of the cleanest buffets.
I'm in.
A lot of people really freak out because, they think like Golden Corral.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Golden Corral girl.
I had a bad experience there. Would you like to hear it?
No. But they are very, very clean. There's someone monitoring it, like constantly wiping it down, stuff like that.
I'm in.
But anyway, so my family would go there to eat.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say every Friday night, but on the Friday night occasionally, because that was my dad's night to cook.
Right. Okay, nice.
Calling Dad out.
Smart Keith, I see you.
Yeah.
Smart man.
And so they, as a joke, they're always like, "All right, when you're 16, come in. We'll hire you to be a waitress." And so, like 3 days before I turned 16, I went in and I turned in my application.
Guess what?
And guess what? They hired me to be a waitress.
Nice.
So I worked there for from the time I was 16 until, and they have a really weird schedule.
Okay.
So if anybody ever feels inclined to go there, here's their schedule. Listen carefully.
Nanny's
Family Barbecue.
Nanny's Family Barbecue.
It's off of exit 45 on 95.
There you go. There you go. Give them an free ad. Yeah. Nanny's Family Barbecue off of what?
Exit 45 on I-95. All right. If you're ever traveling through Virginia, stop here for dinner. Anyway, their schedule is really funky. So they're only open for lunch Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay. No Monday. Sorry. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay.
Just lunch, which obviously I would have been in school.
Right. It'd be difficult to.
Fridays, they are open for lunch and dinner.
Okay.
So I could work the dinner shift.
On Fridays.
Unless I had football games in the fall.
Okay.
And Saturdays, they are only open for dinner.
Okay. That is a funky schedule.
Yes. So I mainly worked only Saturdays in the fall.
Okay.
And then I would, once football season ended and I was no longer cheering every Friday night, I started doing, Friday and Saturdays during basketball season, unless I had a basketball game, because sometimes you had basketball games on Friday
Saturday
night.
nights or
Friday nights.
Most of Fridays. Okay.
Yeah. So I did that all throughout high school. I literally cheered. I did cheer practice. I played a little bit of softball.
You're busy.
Not for school. I did rec ball.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't do both. The schedules interfered.
Yeah, I see.
But
you would have if you could.
Oh yeah, would have if I
That was
could have.
softball
But
you
I
did?
also don't think I was like good enough to be on like the school team.
Okay.
The county we live in is really big into baseball, softball.
Really?
And a lot of the girls and guys played travel ball.
Oh, okay.
And obviously I did not because I was invested in cheer. So I definitely couldn't do travel ball.
Right.
So I really enjoyed it. I'm not gonna say I'm bad. I'm not gonna say I'm super good. But that was pretty good. And my dad played ball, so I kind of came through
There
it,
you go, yeah.
inherited it, I guess. But I never played school ball.
Yeah.
But I played, rec ball. I cheered all throughout high school. So I literally just did that, and I went to work, and that was it.
Nice.
Like I had really no social life,
That's all right.
with
I
the
mean,
exception
you're
of some friends. Like I mean, I had close friends and like
You're-
hung out with them, but like that's all I did.
Yeah, and you're making good grades and stuff like that.
I mean,
yeah.
decent grades. Donna would say probably not,
Yeah,
but
really nice. I picture you.
I think. She threatened to take me out of cheer on multiple
Really?
occasions.
I don't know why. At first,
because I was not working to my potential. Which looking back now, oh yeah, she was right for
Yeah,
sure.
really? Okay.
for sure. But school's not my thing, which is really ironic now that I'm a teacher.
You're a teacher. Yeah, you're a teacher. And also, you strike me as the kind you seem like you'd be upset if you got like an A minus. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
I C's get degrees, baby.
that's what I'm talking about. But D's even too. But anyway, no, C's get degrees.
For a fact,
Don't
they
listen,
do.
Millie. If you
No.
listen to this in 10 years,
Millyanne, your mama did not say
B+s.
that.
no, but
But yeah, so I worked at Nanny's as
Okay.
a waitress.
Yeah.
Loved it. Had the usuals, who would come in every Friday night they would be there, or every Saturday night they would be there. And I just really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And so,
getting mostly tips and stuff like that.
yeah, basically all tips, as a waitress. If you didn't make minimum wage, you got a paycheck.
Yeah.
But that was rare to none that you didn't make minimum wage. But yeah, so I did that, and then on breaks, when I would come home from breaks at Longwood, I would work at Nanny's.
Nice.
But she obviously, the lady who, one of the owners, it's a man and his wife who own it. The wife makes a schedule. She obviously had to hire more girls after I went off to college because she needed people to work while I was away. So it was really hard for her to fit me in when I would come back
Oh, I see.
because
On the
she had already
weekends.
had the other girls working.
That makes sense.
Which I totally get it.
For sure.
So I ended up picking up after my freshman year, and I came back and realized that she was going to have a really hard time putting me in the schedule. I picked up. So I did work through that summer.
Okay.
After my freshman year at Longwood, I continued working at Nanny's on Friday and Saturday nights when she could fit me in the schedule.
Right.
I also picked up a job babysitting for a family.
Okay.
So I did that during the day.
Okay.
And I don't know how I fell into this, but I also picked up another job being a barista
Nice.
at a coffee house.
Yeah.
So there were times when I would open
Okay.
at the coffee house. So
This is-
be there at like 5:30 in the morning and open.
This is the one in Farmville.
No, this is
oh.
the one. This is in Petersburg. It's
bad.
called Demolition Coffee.
Okay. Is that where
It's in-
Cars and Coffee is?
No, that was Market Street.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
all
Market
right.
Street.
Anyway.
This is Demolition Coffee. It's on Bank Street in Old Town Petersburg.
Okay.
It's changed a lot since I was a barista there.
Mm-hmm.
But I would open the coffee shop.
Yeah.
I would get off from the coffee shop. I would go so the kids that I babysat would do like a summer camp. I would pick them up from summer
Oh
camp.
my.
Hang out with them for a couple hours when their parents got home.
Yeah.
And then there were times that I went to Nanny's after that.
Oh my God. So you had worked 3
Yeah.
jobs. in
Oh,
one
I
day,
was
basically?
rolling in the dough though.
I bet.
Let me tell you that summer after freshman
Yeah.
year, I had money.
You were making
like,
bank.
oh yeah, not
You were
paying any.
hustling.
Won't paying any bills.
Yeah.
Nothing
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
You're living at home and stuff.
Oh yeah.
You were hustling.
Yes, it
That's
was.
so much money. You
I
probably had
know.
more money. You probably had more money than
Than I do now. Heck
Well,
yeah.
than I currently have is what I was gonna say. But yeah, good to know. Yeah. Yeah. Both in the same boat.
Yes.
yeah.
No, but yeah, so
I miss those days.
yeah, eventually I dropped nannies once she, had a hard time fitting me in the schedule, which totally understood. And then I continued working at Demolition for a while and loved it. Loved being a barista.
Yeah.
Loved working with coffee. Learned how to do some coffee art.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, some latte art, which was pretty cool.
Comes in handy in life.
Sure.
I mean, if you were to work at a coffee shop again.
Sure. Yes. Yeah. Then it would come in handy.
Yeah.
Or if I really want to be impressive with people, I'd be like,
True.
look, I did this.
That's what I would do.
You
Yeah.
got some pictures of my.
Check out this leaf.
Yeah, check out my leaf.
Yeah.
It looks cool, don't it? So I did that, and then when I went back to Longwood, my sophomore year, I ended up getting a job at a coffee shop up there.
Another coffee shop.
Yes, different coffee shop up there, and worked there my sophomore and junior year.
Okay.
Yeah,
In college.
in college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
And, did you want to tell the name of that place?
Uptown Coffee Cafe.
Yeah. Are they still up? They're still out there, right? Kicking
I
around?
think so. It's a different owner now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
No, they had a banging ass shrimp. What was it?
Oh yeah.
Shrimp po' boy? Is that what
No,
it was?
it wasn't called a po' boy. They called it something else.
It was like a shrimp.
I don't know. I know exactly what you're talking about because that was before I was gluten free, and I used to
Yeah, it was so
munch
good.
on that thing.
Because
It was so.
You were
good.
the one that told me you would like swap out.
I used
usually
to get it
comes
as
in,
like a wrap.
Yeah, that's right. Cause
Yeah.
it usually comes in like a flatbread or something. but you told
Yeah,
me to get
something
it in a
like
wrap.
that. And yes,
Much better.
Yeah,
Anyway,
you're
shout
welcome.
out. Yeah, that
yeah,
place.
yeah. I
Gas.
think they're still open.
Yeah.
And I don't. But again, like I said, from my understanding, it's different owners.
Okay.
And the menu and stuff has changed
Yeah.
from what it used to be. But I'm pretty sure it's still there on the main drag, main
Nice.
street in
Yep.
Farmville.
Uptown Coffee Cafes was right.
Yeah, unless they've changed the
Oh,
name,
okay,
but
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's still Uptown.
Either way, I don't know what exactly I'm trying to aim at with this podcast, but hey, if it helps somebody,
Hey,
we'll
yeah.
give
I
it
mean,
a
you're
try.
just
Who cares?
learning about people's life and
Yeah,
how we got to
exactly.
where we are now.
Exactly. I'm just hanging
Not
out.
that being a barista helped me be a teacher, but you
Hey,
know,
what if one day?
communication skills.
Yeah, communication
Sure.
skills. And then what if one day your kids are like, "Yo, teach us how to make coffee"?
Yeah.
I didn't know how to make coffee until I was 27. So
Like drip coffee.
yeah, the drip coffee. Yeah,
Woof.
yeah. I
That's-
wasn't a coffee
okay.
guy. I wasn't a coffee guy until I moved to Kentucky.
Okay.
When I moved to Kentucky, that's when I started drinking coffee.
Got it.
So,
Okay. All
And
right.
then I learned.
I can teach you lots of ways.
Thank you. I'd appreciate that because
Unless you're just a straight black
I'm
coffee
pretty
man.
much just straight black
Okay,
coffee
then
guy.
I got nothing for you.
Okay.
Put
Yeah.
some cinnamon in your grounds.
That I'll take that advice. That sounds delicious.
That's what my father-in-law does.
Cinnamon in coffee grounds.
Yeah.
Alright. That seems like it would work pretty well.
They rave by it, and I've had it when they fixed it, and because I'm not like a straight black coffee. I'm a Starbucks girl.
Yeah. Well, don't get me wrong.
I
put creamer in.
like milk with some shots of coffee. You know.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I put some creamer in there too. But
But yeah, they fix it. He fixes it. My father-in-law fixes it with cinnamon in there, and it does give it a very nice flavor.
I'll try it. I mean, I'll try anything.
Send it. Why not?
Yeah. Okay. So let me see. So at Longwood, what was your major even? Like, what was? It was education or
Yeah. So my major was technically liberal studies
okay.
with a concentration, I guess you could say, in elementary education.
Oh, okay.
So here's where I'm going to tell on myself a little bit.
All right.
I know, right?
47 minutes. Okay. Go.
Got it. When I got to my senior year, no, semester 2 of my junior year,
Okay.
I got to a professor who gave me a really hard time.
That son of a gun.
Yeah, she was awful. Yeah, just terrible. So I loved the classroom, the teaching the kids. Myself in the classroom is not my strong suit.
I see.
I am very much a hands-on, like, show me what to do and I'll do it.
Yeah.
But like sitting in a classroom and learning,
Being like presented to
yes, is
not,
awful. It's
Yep.
not my thing. I'm not good at it at all.
But the,
And so this class was 2 parts, kind of
Okay.
like the one I did in high school. It had a lecture portion basically and an in-classroom portion.
Okay.
where you're paired with a teacher
Okay.
in a surrounding county to Farmville, which was not really surrounding. I had to drive 40 minutes.
What a ripoff.
Yeah, and they expect
And
you to
I was
drive
gonna say they don't pay
your
you for it.
car or like carpool with somebody else in your class and pay for gas.
And that person has to also go to the same school as
right. So you had to find someone
Yeah.
who got put at the same school that you did and either take turns driving, or if you didn't have a car, pray that you found someone.
Yeah. How do you get there? A lot of college students don't have cars. How do you?
They said, we're like, figure it out.
That's weird. All right.
Yeah, I thought that was messed up, but
That is a
whatever.
little messed up.
Anyway, so there's kind of another reason that I had a job during college is because
yeah.
I had to travel almost 40 minutes to go to this class that I was assigned to, this
Right.
school. But anyway, so I got to this professor.
Wow.
Aced the class, the student teaching portion. We'll just call it that. Aced it.
The part
Did
where
great.
you're in class students.
The part where I was in a classroom with kids, whatever.
Yeah.
I was not doing so hot on the lecture portion.
Okay.
I had to pass my final to pass the class.
Okay.
And I knew that. So I studied my rear end off for that final. And I knew I passed it. She entered my grade so that I would fail the class by 2 points.
What?
And I know she did that because when I saw that I had failed my final, I said, there's no way. So I emailed her and I requested to see it.
Yeah.
She would not let me see it.
What a bitch. Why not? That's
She did
crazy.
not. So because I couldn't get past that class,
Yeah.
I had to take the whole semester over again.
Every class?
The whole semester.
I don't understand. Why?
So that's the way that
I don't know.
that's the way the teaching portion worked. Everything that I took that semester worked together, worked cohesively. So like if I didn't pass one portion, you had to redo
That's
everything.
insane. That's crazy.
It was
Is it still like that?
God, I hope not.
Oh
and if
my God.
anybody at Longwood is going through it, I am so sorry.
Shout out to you. You
yes,
can do it.
you can do it.
What happened? Why
So-
did she do that? What?
I don't know. She was awful. So basically, my roommate at the time was like, just go to her office hours and just cry and ask her for help. I said, I am not doing that.
Never.
You are not going to catch me in this lady's office crying.
Not a
no,
chance. Hell will freeze over before I beg for.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I'm just letting you know, like she just wants to like break you down, I
what-
guess. That's
Hell no.
And I
I'm
said,
so
no,
stubborn.
I'm not doing that. So
You know how
I was
times
like,
I went to see a professor.
I think
to their
I
office
might
hours.
have done it like a handful of times.
I did it 0 times.
Yeah,
Not once.
Okay, so I
That's
had to
so
do it
stubborn.
when I had appendicitis.
Oh,
I had to go and meet with
Okay,
all
yeah.
of them, obviously, because I missed a couple days of class.
Yeah. That's
Um,
true. You didn't have
and-
yeah.
Right, and then I did it a couple times for French because,
French is hard.
oh God, yeah, French
French
is
is
really hard.
nonsense.
I
All the
barely
words-
got through that, y'all. I failed it one time
I don't-
and had
yeah.
to take it again.
French is nonsense.
Oh my
It's all made
gosh.
up-
And I scored into like not the beginning French
Mm-hmm.
when you take your entering test before you go like get
Yeah,
into
you're,
Longwood,
like,
you had to take a
aptitude.
test.
Yeah.
And I scored not in like French 101. I scored in like French 105. And I have no idea how I did
How?
that.
Just guessing.
Guess.
Just making
And-
stuff up.
Right. And so the first time I
Je
took
m'appelle.
it, yeah,
Je m'appelle
I
Louis.
failed. And I was like, so the next time I got a different professor, and I went to her office hours a couple times.
You did.
And oh yeah,
Yeah.
and I passed it by the skin of my teeth.
Yeah.
I think I got like a C, maybe,
But you
maybe a
passed.
D.
But you
But
passed
I enough for me to not have to take it
Yeah.
again. So
You
but,
went to the office hours. and
Right.
helped. I didn't. My grades were.
But this lady, I refused to go to her office hours.
I don't blame you.
Just because that's the reputation she had.
Yeah.
And I think that's wrong.
That is wrong. It's dumb.
So I was
not the
like,
right way to
no,
teach.
I'm not doing this. Fine, I'll take the whole semester again,
Yeah.
whatever. And one of my other classes that goes with it was a language class
Mm-hmm.
where you learn about the sounds of letters and phonics and phonemes and stuff like that. And I was like, holy moly, like that was really hard, honestly.
Yeah.
The English language is very difficult.
Also nonsense.
yes,
I was shitting on the
very
French.
much.
I was shitting on the French pretty hard there,
You
but
shouldn't be.
English is also nonsense.
It's awful. So anyway, I had to take the entire semester over again. So it was going to be a semester behind graduating.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, well, you know what? We're going to do it again.
Yeah.
She was the only professor that taught this course, mind you.
Dang it.
Yes.
Did-
Here we go.
Okay.
So, did it again. My grades were much better the second go round. Even in the lecture portion, much better.
Oh,
the
okay.
classroom portion, all right, there was one time I had to create a test to give to the students,
Okay.
a math test. Well, I was at the time my boyfriend's house, Eli.
Hey, shout out Eli.
I know. But he was my boyfriend at the time. He lived at the time 10 minutes from the school that I was assigned to.
Oh.
So I was like, I just would stay the night at his house the night before, so I wouldn't have to get up as early and drive 40 minutes from Farmville. I would just drive 10 minutes from his house.
That makes sense.
Well, I went to print the test that I had made,
Oh, that
and there
was
was
the one over on Deer Run. Thank you.
yeah, somewhere over there. Yeah.
Spring Run or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had went to print the test that I had made, and there was no ink. Well, the teacher I was paired with when I first got assigned to her was like, if you ever need me to print anything, bring it to me. I'll be happy to do it, whatever. So I went in that morning and I said, hey, I made this test. My printer ran out of ink. Would you mind printing enough copies for your class so I can give it today? And she was like, yeah, I'll go do it. Well, she had a daughter, and she would walk her daughter to class every day. Well, she got hung up at the copier making my copies.
Oh, no.
And did not get to walk her daughter to class. Her daughter threw an absolute fit, cried,
My goodness.
and she wasn't like in kindergarten. This little girl was older.
She was like,
I don't know. I don't
old enough
remember
to
what
not be doing
grade, but
that.
she was old enough to walk herself to class.
yeah, old enough not to be doing that.
Right. And cried and cried and cried. So the teacher I was paired with called my professor, complained that I wasn't prepared, and that I had caused this problem with her daughter, and she did not feel comfortable with me returning to her room.
That's so messed up. Is this after?
This is after I had failed the class the first time.
God.
So
Come on.
she.
That's so messed up.
So
she told
instead
you.
of I know.
She said, if
I
you ever need me to print
know.
something, you can.
Right.
I can do it. No problem.
Yes. And so instead of moving me to a different class, they failed my in portion class part, so I in turn failed the semester again.
God damn it. So you had to, sorry, Donna.
So I know she knows all about it. They also sent me to honor board over it, like Longwood's honor board.
that sucks.
It was
'Cause
stupid. And
that's
she
if,
literally,
like-
this professor literally looked at me and she was like, I'm really sorry that I'm having to do this because you really truly are such a great teacher. And I looked at
do
her
it.
and I said, then why are you doing
Dude,
this?
don't do that then. Please.
Like-
Work with me.
Right. And so it was ridiculous. So because I failed the in portion class, the in portion part of the class.
Yeah, the
So it's
classroom
like the
part.
class had 2 grades, right? The lecture portion and like the student teaching portion.
Gotcha.
Finally passed the lecture portion, got an F in the student teaching portion
God dang
because
it.
they wouldn't let me go back, and I had to write this teacher an apology letter for having her make copies and making her daughter cry.
It
And
is so
it was
ridiculous.
Oh my gosh!
And especially because she's not like in kindergarten like you said.
Yes, it was insanity. So
That's ridiculous.
I failed the semester again. I would have been a year behind, and I would have had to take the semester again
A third
for a
time.
third time.
Yeah.
Still with this same professor.
Who-
So I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this again. I cannot get past this lady. She has it out for me,
Yeah.
obviously.
Apparently.
So I dropped the license part of my degree.
Okay.
So had I continued, I would have graduated from Longwood as long as I passed the state testing with my license to teach.
Okay.
So I dropped that and I picked up a minor in children's literature
Okay.
and graduated on time.
Oh, all right. Nice.
And so again, I was subbing at the time.
Okay.
And so I went to the principal at the school that I just so happened I was at this school a lot. And I think at the end of the year, I ended up picking up like a long-term sub position for a teacher that went out on maternity leave.
Okay.
It was like the last week of school.
I gotcha.
So I was in her class for like the last week of school. And so I went to the principal and I said, look, I graduated from Longwood. I was on track to get my license. This is what happened. I want to teach on a provisional license, which is basically saying like you have enough, but you you did enough of the classes,
Yeah.
but you just haven't finished it yet.
Okay.
And so the state of Virginia will grant you a provisional license so that you have 3 years to finish out your testing and whatever courses that you needed.
Okay.
And so he was like, okay, like, just apply and we'll keep you in mind, basically. Obviously, if somebody came in licensed, they would have to hire them over me.
Sure.
But it helped because they did call me in like June, I guess, later June, and offered me a position.
Nice.
On a provisional license.
Okay.
So that's how I got to the point where I was. So I ended up teaching for 4 years with my provisional license because of COVID.
Oh, okay, nice. You got a
They
little
extended
extension.
it. Yes, yeah.
Nice.
So I finished it and then received my license through the state of Virginia.
Nice.
Yes, finished all my
Congratulations.
testing and all that stuff. So I'm a licensed teacher now.
That's awesome. Hey, congrats.
But
You did it.
honestly, it was so much better because I was able to like really get in there and understand what the classroom was like.
Yeah, you got the experience.
Right. And I didn't have to graduate a year behind. I was making money.
That's always a plus.
Like,
Yeah.
and just finish the rest of my stuff while I was doing what I wanted to be doing
Pretty good,
instead
yeah.
of spending another year on tuition.
Not getting paid, having to pay again to go to school.
Right.
Yeah. That's a big plus.
And I got the experience while doing it. So
Yeah.
like two of the classes that I had left to take were like classroom management and something else. So obviously I aced those because I was in there doing it at the time.
True. Good point.
And
You've got the first-hand
right,
experience.
and then I had all my hours for like student teaching because I was literally teaching my own classroom.
Makes
So I
sense.
didn't have to do that portion either, and do this. Longwood required you to do this like huge study at the end of your thing where you had to make the poster board and
I
do a
remember that, yeah.
presentation
I had to
and
do a
all
couple
this
of
other.
those.
Yeah, I didn't have to do any of that.
I was a biology major though, so I had to do. There was like a. I
I had to do one for children's lit.
Oh, okay.
At the end. BS the mess out of it.
Yeah.
but the teaching one, like you had to tutor a kid a certain amount of
Yeah, it was
hours and all.
intense.
Oh yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, here I am in my own classroom, trucking along.
Not bad. Getting paid.
Heck
getting
yeah.
experience.
Oh
That's not
yeah,
bad.
and it was great.
That's pretty awesome.
So I kind of had a little bit of a different route to get there.
Yeah. No worries. Thank you. I appreciate that. Audio texture. We're going to pause. It actually works pretty good. Hang on. I'm going to do my patented. I have to take a piss break.
The pee break.
Wait, hang on. All right. I'm going to. Do you mind if we take a break real quick?
Yeah, let's send it because
Okay.
I'm also hungry because
Awesome.
we
I'm
were
a little
supposed to
hungry.
eat dinner and didn't.
Yeah, I got here late, so.
After we're done, cook
works.
them now, my guy.
All right, we're getting burgers. Okay, we'll be right back after this quick commercial break. Yo, pardon the interruption. This episode of Work Friends is brought to you by Fat Skippy, Richmond's premier classic rock and country cover band. Whether you're into classic rock anthems or country favorites, Fat Skippy delivers an unforgettable live music experience. Plus, a huge shout out to them for providing the microphones and audio cables for the podcast. Am I in this band? Yes. Does this still count as a sponsor? Also, yes. Anyway, check them out on Facebook to see where they're playing next and support local music. It's Fat Skippy. Check this out on Facebook. Thank you. Back to the show. All right, and we are back.
Woohoo.
Sorry about that.
No, we're not sorry.
Yeah, okay,
Pee
we're not
happens.
sorry. I had to pee. I'm not sorry, but we're back. Okay, so when we left off, we were talking about like kind of how you ended up getting your degree and like what your major was in and
Yeah.
all that good stuff. What were your actual like classes like? What were some of the classes? you had
So
to
a
take?
lot of, filler classes, BS classes that, they make you take. And honestly, college could be done in 2 years if you just do the focus classes.
Agreed.
Like there was so much stuff that I was like prerequisite.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't need this.
Yeah, like
So
I'll
I
never
know
use
like
this.
I needed an art class. Why? Don't know. I don't want to teach art.
You'll never use this.
Right. So I chose pottery, ceramics actually is what
right.
it was. Because
Getting
I was
use
like,
out of that.
oh, this will be cool. Like, I'll make some stuff. It'll be fun.
Yeah,
Almost failed the class.
the ceramics.
It was
fun
so
class?
hard.
Why was it so hard?
I am not good at pottery apparently. Like
What's the
actually like
deal?
spinning pottery
Yeah.
and like on a wheel and making it. Nah, I cannot. I
What?
was not very good at it.
For real? Is that
for
hard?
real. Yes, it's very difficult.
I've never seen. There's a lady I've seen do it on TikTok. Or
Yeah, they make
Instagram
it
or
look
something.
easy. They are skilled at their craft is what
Really?
they are. Yes,
Okay.
they are. So like my final you had to do like a final like sculpture,
Mm-hmm.
and they, make it, fire it, paint it.
Put it in the kiln.
Yes.
Whatever it's called. Kiln.
Mine broke. So
Damn, that
that like
sucks.
counted against me on my
No.
grade. Yeah.
That's not your
I made
fault.
a turtle and like its feet
No,
fell off. They
poor
didn't
turtle.
stay attached because I guess
Damn.
I didn't score it enough and
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know. But yeah, so I almost
turtle.
failed that class,
That's
which I was like, this is ridiculous.
Pottery is tough. Art's hard.
Yes, I had a couple cups. I don't think they made it out of
Couple
Longwood.
mugs.
Yeah, a couple mugs. I don't think they made it out of Longwood before they were in the trash.
That's funny.
But yeah, so just like a bunch of silly stuff like that.
Okay.
And then a lot of education courses.
Okay.
So like I mentioned earlier, the one that was mainly about reading and talking about phonics and
Right.
phonemes, which is like, letter sounds, letter names, and things like that. Some of it, if I were to go and teach like kindergarten,
Yeah.
would apply to me. I teach third grade now. I don't
Okay.
think we've mentioned that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. That's one of my questions,
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So funny story. I got
You're-
hired to teach second grade, which
Okay.
is what I really wanted. So when I was in high school, the class I was paired with was a kindergarten class when I did that little program in high school.
Okay.
Then in college, the first time I did like the practicum, I was paired with a first grade class. And then when I had to redo the semester again, I got paired with a second grade class.
Okay.
So that was the year that was a disaster.
Things were wonky.
Right,
and-
yeah. So I had only done kindergarten, first and second.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, yeah, really like the little ones,
Mm.
So I got hired
Mm-hmm.
for, when they interviewed me, it was for a second grade position.
Okay. What you're used to.
Yeah. And I was like, perfect. That's what I want. Don't want anything higher than second grade.
Mm-hmm.
Well, about 3 weeks before school started, they put me in fourth.
Oh. Whoa.
And I was like,
Big kids.
yeah. And I was real sad about it.
Uh-huh.
And I was, and I was like, okay, well, you know what? I need to be grateful. I'm on a provisional license.
True.
I got hired. Let me just do my year in fourth grade. I'm going to be the best fourth grade teacher they've ever
Mm-hmm. you go. You
had.
gotta take your
So when I
lumps.
request a second, they'll move me.
That's right. There you go. Yeah.
Which I have really learned. Like, if you're the best of that teacher, they ain't moving you nowhere.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
If you
They
do
like
your
for you
job.
to, if you do it good, they're not
Yeah.
going to move you. If you want to move, do a real crappy job.
I see. Okay. Good to know.
But really, I got into. They moved me to fourth. I was real sad about it. And I mean, I had bought all of this second grade stuff.
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
was
you
like,
were prepped for second grade. And now
Yeah.
you're teaching fourth grade.
Yeah.
And no returns. No return policy.
yeah, it's fine. It's totally fine. So I ended up getting, into fourth grade. Loved it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So you actually liked fourth grade.
I did.
Nice.
I really did. So I stayed in fourth grade for 5 years. And
Wow.
just, I really enjoyed it because they would come in at the beginning of the year and they really wouldn't get my sarcasm.
Okay.
But they were old enough for me to be sarcastic with
Okay.
and to talk to them like they're little adults,
Sure.
And by the end of the year, they would know my sarcasm.
I see.
So it was just really funny to
Hold
watch
on,
them
wait a
grow.
minute. You're teaching them sarcasm. Is what-
Yes, absolutely.
Hold on
If
a
I
minute.
am good at anything, it is teaching sarcasm.
I see. Okay.
So I, got into fourth grade,
Mm.
loved it, stayed there for 5 years. And then 2 years ago, all of the third grade team but one teacher left.
Oh.
All of the fifth grade team but one teacher left.
What? Was there a reason?
It was
Mass exodus?
Yeah, it was.
There was a reason?
Yeah,
that we can't get
yeah,
into?
yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going to get into that.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so it was a little bit of a mass exodus.
Okay.
And my fourth grade team, no one was leaving.
Okay.
So we were a full man team,
yeah.
right?
And then you had two.
And the upper grade above only had one teacher left.
Yeah, and
So
the grade
3
below.
empty spots to fill.
Jeez.
And the grade below only had one teacher left, also 3 empty spots to
Yeah.
fill. So they, send out an email. If anybody wants to move grade levels, let us know,
Nope.
right? And so I'm looking at my team, and I'm low man on the totem pole.
Oh no, you were first. Or you were the
So
last person
there
to
was
join.
two there was 3 veteran teachers, and then me, which I mean a 5-year. No, I wouldn't consider myself a veteran compared to them. There was another teacher who got hired after me, so she was newer than me. She was older than me.
Oh, okay.
Had more experience, but she also taught the inclusion class.
What
So
is
that
that?
includes the kids with special education needs.
Oh, okay.
Or not always special education needs either. It might be high behavioral needs,
Okay.
or just kids that have what we call a 504 plan,
Gotcha.
which is like you have ADHD, you might need redirection often, you might need extra time to finish assignments compared to your peers.
Okay.
Just something small,
Yeah.
something that's not like a huge hindrance. Like you don't have some sort of disability. You just have something that's like holding you back slightly, like ADHD does. So she taught
Me.
that. Oh, I got ADHD
I'm
bad.
so ADHD.
Never was tested, but I can tell you I got it.
I don't think I developed it until recently.
Oh no,
until
I've
I
had
was
it
an
my
adult.
whole entire life. I
Really?
know I have. Absolutely.
I used to feel.
I was probably that kid that I wish now was medicated.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
See,
There's probably teachers who were probably wished I was medicated back in the day.
I used to be like so calm and collected. And, like I used to be able to remember stuff, and like
Oh, I've never been able to remember anything.
I used to have such a good memory. I used to be very patient too. Like,
My
and
memory's
now,
horrible.
now I can't remember anything. I can't remember. Like, I'm
The
so
other night, I was at
impatient.
dinner with my mom and dad, and Eli called me and asked me to send him something. And I literally hung up the phone and put it
And
down and kept
forgot.
doing what I needed to do. And my mom was like, "Are you not going to send that to him?" And I
Yeah.
was like, "What?" And she goes, weren't you supposed to just send him
Yes.
like what he wanted from the sushi place?" And I was like, "Oh
I'll
yeah."
do that. I'll do that constantly. Like I'll literally hang up the phone with like a customer or something, and then I'll just go back to doing whatever I was doing. And then an hour later, I'm like, oh shit, I forgot all about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, she taught.
Good to know I'm not alone.
Yes, you're not at all. She taught that group of children. I mean, it's not like it's just those kids in one class.
Yeah.
But, anyway. And so I knew they weren't going to want to move her.
Oh, right.
It's hard. Not all teachers want to teach that group because it tends to be a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's more
So
effort,
I
guess.
knew that
Well,
I knew that they weren't going to move her. Another teacher on my team who is older they don't really do this anymore, but she was only licensed to 4th grade. She couldn't go any lower. And they had just moved her down from 5th grade because she requested to come down to 4th grade from 5th grade. So they can't move her to 3rd because she doesn't have the license to do that. And why would they move her back to 5th when she just requested to come down to 4th the previous year, right?
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
So, like teaching licenses and stuff like that, is it grade to grade? Is it varies, or like is it?
So
You can teach elementary school.
I have a license in K through 6.
Okay.
So I am licensed to teach anywhere between kindergarten to 6th grade.
Yeah.
Usually above that, you and I might be saying it somewhat wrong because I have no desire to teach anything higher than
Okay.
I will not go above 4th grade.
Not
I can
going
tell
above
you, looking at the 5th graders,
Yeah.
no.
Really? Not happening,
Oh my
huh?
God,
Okay.
they're awful.
That's 5th grades when they get just smart enough to be able to like talk back and like.
Oh no,
feel
they
like-
do that in the
Oh,
they do that.
really?
They do that in the 3rd grade
Oh,
now, my
shit.
friend. Oh,
Oh,
yeah, it's
no.
rough. Oh, it's bad. But
man.
okay. So anyway,
Yeah.
trying to keep us on track.
Sorry. Someone's got to do it.
You tend to be more licensed in a specific subject area
Mm.
the older you
Oh,
get.
okay.
So you might have like your license might be like 6 through 12, but you
You're the math
specifically took a specific test to teach history,
Got it.
or you took it's called a praxis
yeah.
test. You teach it to teach geometry or science
If
or
you-
whatever.
If you wanted to, just because I'm curious, I've always wondered how this kind of works. If I wanted to say I wanted to teach like 8th grade science or something like that, would I, being me, like I have a biology degree, no teaching experience whatsoever, would I be able to like take a licensure exam as I am right now and then apply to be a teacher somewhere?
That's a really good question.
Like in theory,
So
I don't know. I'm just asking questions.
I
don't
feel
know.
like since you have a biology degree,
Yeah. That was, I didn't mean to pick science specifically. Like I could have said history or something, but
yeah, no, but I feel like
know.
since you have that degree, I feel like if you took the praxis test,
yeah.
passed it,
Uh-huh.
You might have to take
Maybe.
like 1 or 2 other courses, but then I feel like you could have a license.
All right, maybe. Who knows?
Especially with how bad teachers are needed now. They'd be
True,
like,
good
you could be
point.
like, I passed the praxis.
Yeah.
They'd be like, yeah, come on.
True. Like so I have a degree in biology, but I'm terrible at biology. I actually really enjoy history, and I'm pretty good at history. I know
Yeah.
a lot about history. I could teach history. Biology I can never teach. But I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think I could ever teach biology. I think I could teach history.
I'm not sure if you could just like, let's say you got it in
Just
like
like a general
law.
knowledge.
And you wanted to be an elementary teacher, you went and took the praxis for that.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
think you could be automatically licensed just because you took that
Okay.
one test.
Okay.
I feel like you would definitely need some other
Some sort of-
courses,
okay.
like classroom
I
management
see.
and some other stuff like
So
that.
so maybe because biology. maybe
I
if
feel like the biology
that could
and taking the
translate.
if you were a biology major
Okay.
and you would take the praxis to teach biology specifically, like at an
That
upper
could-
level, that might translate.
that could translate. Okay. All right.
You still may have to do some other stuff,
I
but
gotcha. I've always
I
wondered.
don't foresee it being a lot.
Just okay. Just 'cause I was just wondered because I know like
Right.
talking to people who went to Bird, like the engineering school,
Yes.
they had a couple of teachers who like I know one guy he had his own like engineering firm or something, and then he had never taught, and then he like sold an engineering firm, and then he went to go teach at that school because he was like hiring people that he was like these guys don't know what they're talking about, so he wanted to go teach people.
That's smart.
So he was, but yeah. So anyway, that's all I was just.
I mean,
curious as to-
I feel like at the upper level like that, it could translate.
okay, I never really understood.
The elementary level, probably not as much.
Okay, so
There's a
elementary-
lot you gotta learn.
Is
It's
there-
not just
yeah.
one subject. You
It's-
know what
it's
I'm saying? Like,
math,
I mean,
science,
math,
English.
science, social studies, history, like
reading.
Oh yeah,
That can be different from English because it's reading and writing. Reading and writing.
reading
are two
and
separate-
writing.
yeah.
Oh gosh, reading and writing is awful.
So that's okay. So that actually kind of leads into another good question. So when you're teaching your class, where do you get your like curriculum from? Like, do you
The
come
state?
up with it? The state?
Heck,
gives it out?
no, I don't come up with it on my own.
Okay.
The state says, here are the standards you are required to teach.
Really?
These are what you need to address.
Uh-huh.
And so, and then luckily, so Prince George, they go even further and they say, here's a calendar. Like, so here's our math standards. So, look, my team was just texting about this
Oh, okay.
earlier. So here are the following math standards that third graders learn. Okay. Time, learning to tell time on a clock,
All right.
as well as elapsed time.
Oh, how much time has passed?
Correct.
That's good to know.
Okay. Place value, so knowing like one's place, ten's place,
Sure.
which includes rounding numbers, comparing numbers greater than, less than,
Okay.
ordering numbers greatest to least, least to greatest, right?
Good to know.
Adding and subtracting numbers to the thousands, I believe.
Oh.
Money,
Oh yeah. Bad at that one.
graphing,
Okay.
which we only address in third grade, picture graphs.
That's
So like a smiley face equals 2 people.
Yeah.
So like a half a smiley face equals 1 person.
and you have the key
and
on
then
the side.
right. And then bar graphs.
Okay.
Multiplication and division facts
Okay.
to 10. So 1 times all the way to 10 times. Patterns.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Patterns.
Patterns. Polygons.
Polygons. I actually don't know what polygons. I don't know.
Polygon is a shape.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's a shape where all sides connect. None of the sides can be curved, so a circle
Gotcha.
is not a polygon.
Like a diamond is a polygon.
Correct. Yeah.
Got it.
Fractions.
Uh-huh.
Knowing fractions on so fractions include like knowing fractions on a number line.
Oh, like ordering them.
Yeah. Ordering fractions.
Fractions kicked my ass all up and down. elementary
Fractions
school.
kick everybody's ass.
Yeah, okay.
Adding and subtracting fractions with the same denominator, so the bottom number is the same.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome. And comparing fractions, so greater than, less than.
Gotcha. Okay.
Measurement, which is awful. God, I hate
Like-
measurement.
like-
Liquid measurement, weight measurement, length measurement.
That is tough. And I will
Yes.
say, as an adult, my schooling failed me because I don't know that shit at all.
yeah. I hate measure. I hate
It's
teaching
so-
measurement.
it's so
It is
hard.
my least favorite because
remember-
it is really so hard to teach,
Yeah.
and a lot of it, like sometimes if you think about it, is
Arbitrary.
like I'll be kids
made
will
up.
be like, well, what would you use to fill a bathtub? You could sit there and do it with cups.
If you wanted. Or you could use the faucet. You know?
Right, but on a test it's like gallons,
Oh, I see.
cups, pints, quarts. Like you could do it with all of that.
Yeah.
But they need to know
the
that
best
the
choice.
easiest way is with gallons,
The biggest.
because gallons are big and the bathtub is big.
Makes
right?
sense. Okay.
So, but yeah,
A little bit of critical
yeah,
thinking there,
Yeah.
yes.
So
Okay.
measurement, and then area and perimeter.
Area and what?
Perimeter.
Oh, okay.
So that
to
is
know.
how many skills? One, place value is a lot all in one. It literally takes us 4 weeks to teach it and test on it.
Big.
But all of those skills in 1 year. So Prince George goes and says, okay, here's a calendar of the year. You're going to start place value on this day.
Oh, okay.
You need to test by this day.
What if? Okay, you can't be behind and stuff like that.
I mean,
There's-
we get behind,
Okay. I was
but
wondering.
but if you get behind, we have a state standards of learning test and SOL test,
SOLs.
which are coming up for us.
They were on my list.
Yeah, so yeah, they're coming. If you get behind, I mean, you got to address all that before the test. All of it's going to be on the test. So if you get behind, you got to make up the time somewhere else.
Wow. How do you do that? Like, you just say,
Squeeze a couple things in at one time.
Yeah, I
Hope
guess. Hey,
you
kids,
hope you
we
get
gotta
through
focus.
one faster than what the county has planned for you to do.
Okay.
Pray to God you don't have any snow days.
Yeah.
like,
how does
even though teachers love snow
yeah,
days.
it's true. It's a blessing and a curse, I guess. Right?
It really is. Honestly, it really is. But yeah, so luckily Prince George, they take the standards and they give us a timeline. So
Okay.
here's your
helpful.
timeline for math. Here's when you need to start it. Here's when you should test on it. Then move on to the next one. Here's when you're starting that. And here's when you're testing on it.
Okay.
And they do that for math. They do that for reading. Has changed a little bit because the state just adopted some new laws, which are absolute horse
Congratulations.
doo-doo.
Yay.
They're awful.
That's
I
great.
don't know who adapted them, but I wish I could smack them in the face because they are clearly have never been in a classroom ever.
I think we could figure that out. We could
I
probably
I
crack
wish I could, and I think I might do some digging.
that. Yeah.
They're terrible. But yeah, they do the same science, social studies, reading, math, and they give us, here are the standards. Here's when you're going to teach them. Here's when you should test by.
Okay.
Try to stick to this the best that you can.
Interesting.
Especially third grade, we take SOLs in math and reading.
In what grade? Third grade?
Third grade.
Yeah.
Which
okay.
is what I teach now.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you don't finish anything by that test, you're screwed.
You're out of.
You're screwed because
you're
then you're
SOL.
you are SOL
That's
because
how many times has that joke been made?
the
the-
kids don't. I mean, they probably do get it, but
I
I
meant the
tried.
teachers.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we get there and we're like, yep,
Yep. And we're all
SOL for the SOL.
You're SOL.
Yeah, but it sucks because I feel like a lot of people at the state level have not been in a classroom in forever.
Yeah.
And I mean, you heard all of those standards that I just list
was a
solely
ton.
for math.
Yeah.
For third grade.
That was a ton.
Fourth grade has almost double that.
That's crazy. And they have to know all that
Yes.
by the end of the year.
And they're
yeah.
expected to learn
And that was
it.
just one. That was just mostly math, right?
That was only math.
Yeah. Okay. That was all math.
All math.
Yeah. That's a lot.
It's insane.
That is a bit much.
It's crazy.
So my next question is, how do you feel about SOL?
Well, let's see. People use your context clues.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
People,
you don't
what
like
do you
'em.
think? No,
Yeah.
I mean, so here's the thing. They tell teachers to meet the kids at their level. Meet the kid at their level, right? Work with them at that level. Work with them on their level.
Mhm.
And then at the end of the year, you give every single kid the same test.
That does
When you
kinda
told
sound-
me all year long to meet these kids on their level,
Yeah.
I mean, I've got kids coming to me in third grade on a kindergarten level. Do you
Okay.
really think that they are going to be able to pass a third grade end of year test?
Right.
I may have gotten them to a second grade level. I may have upped them 2 years worth of learning by working with them, but they're still on a second grade level. They're not going to pass a third grade end of year test.
Yeah.
There's no way. So I think, it's called differentiate.
Yeah.
When you meet students on the level that they're at, right?
Okay.
Why do we not give them a differentiated test?
I see. At the end of the year, you're saying,
Yeah.
okay.
And I mean, I get it. They got to know these standards. But
Yeah.
when you are sending them to me so far behind,
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
That's
but
the problem.
last time I checked, my name is Rhiannon Patterson, not God. Okay,
So-
I'm not a miracle worker. I only have 7 months.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's see. I'm not counting. They come to us. We start school at the end of August now. And I don't really count that. It's like a week,
Nah, it
maybe.
doesn't count.
So September.
And you don't lock in until mid-September. anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
September, October, November. We're going to go ahead and cut December because let's be honest, you got Christmas.
Yep, nobody does
You
that.
also have a week in November for Thanksgiving so, and then other days off. So we're just going to cut December altogether.
Between Thanksgiving and Christmas
Right.
is a
Just
wash.
send it out. January, February, March, and we start SOL. We take our SOL in not next week, the week after. So the end of April. So 7 months.
That's crazy. Okay, yeah.
So if you're sending me a kid,
That's barely more than half the year.
yeah, you're sending me a kid who is on a first grade 5th month of school level, right? A 1.5.
Yeah, that's tough.
I've got 7 months. So if they gain 7 months of knowledge, that's only a 2nd grade 3rd month of school.
They're still behind.
And they are receiving a 3rd grade 9th month of school.
That's
test.
crazy, huh? Yeah. So that's the.
You're expecting me to help them grow a year and a half worth in 7 months.
Okay. Which is very difficult to do. You can't. I mean,
Well, when you got
how are you gonna do that?
however many kids in your classroom.
Yeah, that's
That's just one kid.
I hadn't even considered that.
Yeah.
I was just.
And
focused on
I mean,
one kid.
I have kids
Good
in
point.
my classroom right now.
Yeah.
All the way from a pre-K level in the third. This is 3rd grade.
Yep.
I have kids from a pre-K level to a 4th grade level, and
That
I am
whole range.
expected to meet all of their needs.
That whole range of
A whole range.
like, what do you say? Knowledge level. Not
Yeah,
knowledge level.
yeah.
Yeah,
Their-
knowledge level.
Their,
I guess.
their level of knowledge
Their level of knowledge. Yeah, the
from
whole range,
ranging
all in
from
3rd grade.
pre-K to 4th grade.
That's nuts. So I guess the real question is, do you get rid of standardized testing, or do you make it standardized for like every grade level? You know what I mean?
Well-
Because do you start it in 3rd grade? Is that the first year? They
Yes, this is the first year that they take
do it?
an SOL
So
test.
3rd grade's the first year they
Yes,
do
yep.
it. So it seems like they need to catch them before. They need to catch kids maybe before that.
No kid left behind, baby.
No, okay, no kid left behind. huh?
So I felt like, when we went to school, if you failed, you failed.
Yeah, I
Right?
remember. Yeah, pretty much.
But I mean, it was
Oh, that would-
uncommon, but the people that were passing were truly passing.
yeah,
Our parents valued an education.
definitely. And I remember. I don't really remember.
But it happened. People failed 100%.
Definitely. And if they failed the SOL, they were just in the last year, and that was fine.
Okay, so that has it don't got nothing to do with that no more.
No.
Nah. If
Okay.
you passed SOL,
Yeah.
or I mean, if you fail the SOL, but you've like skimmed through the rest of the year, you're going to the next grade level.
Wait. Now that's how.
Oh
it is
yeah,
now?
SOL got nothing to do. I mean, it's
Then why?
so stupid. I
Well,
don't.
I don't
know.
understand why take them then. What are we
Exactly my
What are
point,
we
Mr.
doing?
Albus.
I don't understand.
Like, nah.
What? I'll cut it. We can cut it.
Eli is sending signals to me, but I can.
Nobody listening to this man's podcast is going to do that.
What are we
Okay,
gonna
so
do?
some parents can opt their child out of the SOL.
Oh, okay.
However,
Yeah. Hey.
from a teacher's aspect, okay, please don't do this.
Okay.
Please don't do this. Like, and here's why. So instead of that kid, it like not showing up at all in the
Yeah.
testing system, they show as a score of 0. And every child attached to me, their score is attached to my license.
So that lowers your average, kind
Yeah.
of. Oh man.
And so it stinks. And honestly, I've had a couple kids who, they should be opted out of the SOL because mentally, there's no way.
Not on the same
they,
level
Yeah, they're
as
just
everyone
not on the same level. And I do agree. Those special needs children should not have to take it
yeah.
because it's just silly.
They not standard.
No,
that?
exactly.
I
They're
mean
not.
that in a good
and I
way.
get that. But like 90% of the parents that do choose to opt their kid out of SOL, they're the ones that could pass it. And I think what a lot of parents don't understand either is that the SOL counts towards your school's accreditation by the state.
Oh, so they get like.
So
funding
you
and
are
stuff.
in good, your school is considered in good standing by the state based on your absences, and your SOL scores are a main part of whether or not the state considers your school in good standing.
Wow.
So
And
if
that-
you're a parent that wants to send your kid to a accredited school
Right.
by the state, then send your kid to school, first of all.
Make 'em go.
And second of all, yes, the SOL is important. Whereas I feel like a lot of parents now, they're like, it's just one test, sweetie. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Like, it's fine. I don't really care how you do.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I agree that we should not put all this pressure on these kids on one test, because it's just one test.
Yeah.
But you also got to look at it from the other side. It counts towards your school's accreditation of where you're sending your child.
Right. The better the scores are, the more like funding the school will get.
Correct.
And all that good stuff.
Yes, and if not, the state will come in.
Better teachers, better funding,
Yeah.
better supplies, all that good stuff.
Well, they ain't giving us no supplies, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, I have a question about that too.
yeah, but yeah.
That actually
so,
that was part of my question. Like, what the fuck is the point of the SOLs if like that doesn't give you more? You know what I mean? Like, if that doesn't directly translate to better funding and all that.
So
good
they're
stuff.
like, it just shows whether or not you as a teacher are doing your job. If you're addressing the standards, okay, that's great. But here's my line.
Yeah.
I can lead the horses to water.
You're right. You
I
can't make 'em drink.
cannot make them drink.
No, you cannot.
If these kids don't want to learn, and I can try my hardest, and I've got a couple kids like that in my class right now. I've tried to build a relationship with them. Like, I tried to get to know them. If they want to read with me, yeah, let's go read
Hell
together.
yeah, let's go reading.
Like what? But if they don't want to learn,
Yeah.
I can correct them. I can give them signals to get back on track. I can tell them to put the Play-Doh away. I can tell them to stop cutting up paper. I can tell them to stop doodling and drawing on their paper. But if
I'll
they don't
never
want
stop.
to learn, they're not going to.
I'll never stop cutting up paper.
Same.
And I'm not putting this Play-Doh down.
I mean, so like, that's hard too. And so the SOLs, I don't agree with.
Yeah.
I do think, obviously, there's got to be something. We have to hold them accountable in some way.
For sure.
But something has got to change. Either they need to start holding kids back where they need to be held back.
Right.
You can't send me a kid who's
have
not
to-
on the right level.
Right. You have to actually start enforcing this.
Right.
Like, standardized
Right.
things. We're not gonna.
It's a domino effect.
Yeah.
You know,
That makes
like
total sense. So you said it earlier, the No Kid Left Behind thing. That was like that was like an act. I never really
it's
understood.
like the No Kid Left Behind act.
That was an act.
And I don't know. They acted stupid, is what they did.
Oh,
I
true.
don't know.
Is that why like the SOLs, like if someone fails that, they can still move on to fourth grade or whatever?
Nah, I don't
Pretty
know
much?
that it has anything
Okay, I don't know.
solely to do with that.
Yeah.
But
I've done zero research, so I don't know.
there are some aspects of like the No Kid Left Behind
Okay.
that, in my opinion, have kind of set us back.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So like, for example, if you fail anywhere between like kindergarten and second grade, they can fail you one time. Like, you can fail kindergarten.
Yeah.
That's fine. But you're going to get passed through first grade. You're going to get passed through second grade. They're not going to fail you again.
They can only fail you that one time.
Yes.
Really?
And then like if you fail third grade,
Yeah.
okay, you're going to repeat the third grade.
Okay.
But then you're going to get pushed through fourth grade and pushed through fifth grade.
So it's like that. The kindergarten through second grade, you get one
One retake.
You get a mulligan. Yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
You get a
You get a
mulligan on the
mulligan,
front, the
and
front
then-
nine, the mulligan on the back nine. Yeah.
Yep.
Not bad.
Yeah, which I mean, I get it. You don't want to have these kids who are like so old, still in the fifth grade, but at the same time, you're doing them a disservice because you're pushing them through. I know for a fact we've got fifth graders who are leaving and going to sixth grade who cannot read.
That's not good. You gotta
No,
you gotta be able to
and then
read in sixth
there's
grade.
a guy somewhere in like Florida or something like that who's like suing his high school because he graduated and can't read.
I saw that. Yeah.
Well,
More power to him. He's right. He should sue him. I guess. I
nah,
don't
maybe
know.
he should look at his mama and be like,
Yeah,
"Why didn't
actually,
you
that's
help
a
me?"
good point. Yeah, something's going on at home. Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
I mean, dang.
He's
like,
comes from a broken home. He needs.
I don't know what's going on
Yeah.
there, but
Good point.
you can't. It's the system.
Yeah.
You
You should be able to read
It's
in
it's
sixth
a
grade.
broken system right now, and somehow or another we got to fix it.
I don't know. I certainly don't have the answer. I actually heard.
I'm just a teacher. I don't either.
I actually heard that they are talking about like abolishing the Department of Education or something like that. Is that a real? That's thing that's happening.
It's.
What's that about?
Listen,
I'm asking you,
I don't.
the expert.
I don't know. So.
I don't watch the news.
I don't necessarily think that it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of funding comes through the Department of Education,
Okay.
right?
So in my note here, it actually says, I don't know what they did before anyway, considering you guys have to fundraise
Correct.
and supply your own
Correct.
classrooms.
Yes, right.
Question mark.
Okay, but there's a lot of
Okay.
teaching positions that are funded through the
Okay,
Department of
like
Education. So, like right now,
salaries.
my school is what's considered a Title I school,
Okay.
meaning that we have a certain level of poverty.
Mm.
So we have Title I teachers,
Okay.
which provide extra reading support in the classroom. So right now we have 2 Title I teachers
Okay.
who they come around to the classrooms and provide extra help. They'll pull kids out to help with reading.
Yeah.
They'll push into the classroom to help me, like teach
Nice.
reading, run an extra group in my classroom to review reading, whatever.
Okay.
They are a federal funded
Gotcha.
position.
Okay. So that
So
would
like
be,
that's really important.
so that would go away if the Department of Education.
Well, so
or-
that funding
Okay,
that
sorry, I don't know.
So
I'm
from my
know.
understanding, and I could be totally wrong, and if I am, don't come after my throat.
Yeah,
right?
also, just real quick too, I don't watch the news. I don't keep up on politics.
I don't either,
I
but-
don't have Twitter. I don't.
No.
I don't. I
No,
don't
no, no.
have shit.
I
know
don't
nothing.
either, but this
I'm
is,
an idiot.
I do this. I have kind of looked into a little bit,
Okay.
right? Because it does obviously affect me.
Yeah. Definitely.
But so that funding that the DOE, the Department of Education, provides is supposed to be to go to the state level if it is abolished.
Okay.
It is that funding is supposed to go to the state level, and then the state level should pick it up and say, okay, nope, you're good.
Oh.
We've got this money still. You're good.
Okay.
Continue teaching. Your position is safe.
Okay. So it would just go to the state level is all.
But
that would-
then your state becomes responsible. And if
Mm.
your state decides to allocate that money for something else, you're done.
I see. Okay.
So if they choose to put it towards something else, we would be out those 2 teachers.
Yeah. That would be terrible.
It,
You would
it-
hope they would.
honestly, it 100% would, because those are the ones who are helping us map out that curriculum.
Right.
They create our tests for us.
Yeah.
So everyone is across the board testing on the same skills so that we all know that we're teaching correctly, we're teaching the right way, the kids are all learning the same thing,
Right.
which aligns to the SOL test.
I see. Okay. It all
So
comes
they
full
are
circle.
right.
Yeah.
So they are really extremely important. So I don't think that getting rid of the DOE altogether is a good thing. Do I think the people up there are getting a heck of a paycheck
Yeah.
and have no
Yeah, get 'em.
idea?
They don't have.
Not
a clue.
all of them, but there's definitely some up there who probably haven't seen a classroom since
Never.
the 90s,
I
if
bet.
not the 70s.
I was gonna say I'd say even further than
So-
that. I know we got bitches in there up in their 80s that have.
Yeah,
not
you
been
got
in
no
school.
business telling me what to do, because you have
crazy.
no idea. This is not a 70s, 80s. This
That's
is not even an early 2000s classroom anymore.
It's nuts. Yeah.
These kids are so different.
We're in the future,
Yes.
and we have people.
We need some
Yeah.
fresh eyes who
For
have
sure.
recently been educators
That would be
in a
nice.
classroom.
That would be good.
That's what we need. I think we
like
need
that.
a change, like a wipeout and
Yeah.
a start over.
I agree. Yeah. I like
Instead of a total takeout. You know what I'm saying? Maybe
Yeah.
just wipe them out and restart.
That's
like we
right.
need a restart button.
a fresh restart. That's
Yeah,
all.
a refresh.
the
A
problem-
refresh button.
Yeah.
Instead of a end all.
Yes.
Like
In
button.
all, yeah.
Might be
No,
kind of bad.
I agree. I think we need some fresh faces in there because we got like people who are literally 80 who haven't been in school in 70 years almost.
And
Almost
they
70
but they
years.
think going back into the classroom to like read a book to elementary kids
that's not how
is
that
them
works.
being in the classroom.
That doesn't-
You ain't got a clue.
Yeah,
None.
that's not how that works.
Absolutely none. So
They're
yeah.
all so far.
Yeah,
removed from-
and same at the state level.
Yeah.
The state
Yeah,
level,
definitely.
like the state, so each state has different standards.
Mm-hmm.
So like, especially with Prince George being big on military, we have
Oh,
kids
yeah.
in and out. So we have kids
yeah,
that will
true.
come to us who were in 3rd grade wherever they were at. For example, Kentucky.
Right.
We
Ow.
know when kids come.
Hey.
No offense, but we know when kids come from Kentucky,
It sucks.
they are so far behind because they
Trust
don't
me.
expect as much of them in their state standards compared to Virginia. So these kids get to us and they are like, this is a foreign language
Yeah,
because
definitely. This is a good chance for me to dunk on Kentucky. I met with and worked with people out there, and yeah, they can't read for shit. They don't know nothing.
Well,
fuck you,
I
Kentucky.
guess Virginia got some high standards.
Yeah.
But being a high military population,
Yeah.
that is a problem. Whereas I feel like the Department of Education, if we kept them, why do we not all teach the same thing
Yeah.
at the same grade level at every state?
I don't know.
Why are we not doing that?
Yeah, if you're gonna be like a national,
So that way, if you chose to move or
Yeah.
your job moved you and
You
your
could-
kids have to go,
it's 1-to-1,
bada bing, bada boom, they're
Yeah.
going to the same stuff.
replaceable parts.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Why are we not doing that?
I really
That's
don't
what the
know.
Department of Education could be. Maybe this
that's
is why
what-
we're getting rid of it, because
Hey,
they're being stupid.
That's what
not,
they should be doing, and
because
that's,
they're not doing what they should be doing.
Yeah.
Right?
All right,
But
yeah,
I don't
I
know.
can
But
get behind that.
100%, I think that's what needs to happen.
I get behind that.
As a country, why are we not teaching the exact same thing at every level?
It makes sense. I don't know.
I don't either.
Maybe it's we're such a big country, but even
It doesn't matter.
dumb-
That's
yeah.
what our federal government's supposed to be
That-
for, right? To
yes.
regulate.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I'm no
Federal
politician,
government.
but
The federal government can't regulate its way out of a paper fucking bag, personally. Yeah, but anyway.
Whatever.
Okay, so another thing, we'll get off politics because
yes, let's not my forte.
not mine either. I don't know anything, and also I don't care. But so you were TikTok famous. Back to politics. I
had one video go what I would consider viral.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Was
like,
teaching or what was it?
No, it was me and Eli's pregnancy announcement.
No shit.
Yeah,
Really? It was
yeah.
your pregnancy announcement.
Yes. So I had like 4.3, 4.5, I don't know, something like that, million views.
Whoa.
On one video.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So
And it was- you were-
yeah. So we went through fertility treatment.
Okay. You want to talk about that some?
Sure. And
Okay.
so like I started documenting everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make these videos.
Mm-hmm.
And because I had been on TikTok myself.
Okay.
And, obviously that's what I was going through. And I would see videos of all these other women and families going through the same thing.
Yeah.
And it was so helpful to me to know that I was, not alone, quote
Right.
unquote.
And in what? Not alone in what again?
In infertility.
Okay.
So not being able to become pregnant.
Okay.
And so I would just watch all these videos and I learned a lot. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing. These were helpful to me, and one, I wanted to document it.
Yeah.
Just for myself, really.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of what it started off as. I started posting videos about what we were going through.
Just
and
this whole
it just,
journey.
just the journey of like trying to, especially really after we started going through fertility treatments specifically, is when I started making videos.
Okay.
And I really like started posting them for myself so that I could look back on it.
Yeah.
And then I
Such a
kind of
neat idea.
gained some followers and people were commenting. And then it became more of like, if I can educate people on this.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So here comes the teaching right back around, right? I just feel.
Oh, yeah, you're
like,
educating again.
Yeah,
didn't even
I
make
was
that
like,
connection.
and because the older generation, it's not something you talked about, right? If you
Right.
didn't, you didn't talk about not being able to get pregnant. You
Yeah.
didn't talk about being able to get
No.
pregnant. Like you just didn't talk about
It's
it.
funny,
Like
even just now when I was like I felt kind of sheepish asking
Right.
you, like I was like,
yes,
what are we
it's
talking
just
about?
like it's so funny. Like we're expected to procreate but not talk about it.
Yeah,
Which
it
I
is-
mean, to an extent, like some of that stuff keep on the down low. But
True.
like
I don't want to talk to my mom
Right.
about a lot.
But after you get married, the very first question that people are asked you is like, okay, when are you having babies?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure people asked us on our wedding night,
On the
like,
day of,
yeah,
yeah.
like, all right, when you gonna pop out a baby? And
Give me
so
a
then,
minute.
you get married and you're like expected to start this family.
Yeah.
And
When we went to Dale's surprise party, I asked Sierra when Brandon sat down. Sierra like moved over and sat next to me, and
Yeah.
then I just like fucking with her. I was like, "So when are you and Brandon?" Like and all the babies were over there. She was like, "I don't know." But anyway,
but it's something that people just
Yeah.
expect,
I
right?
feel bad for doing that. But
Yeah.
yes.
and I think it's a lot of, I know I asked people that.
Yeah.
And, and now that I went through what I went through, my knowledge is like so much more. And I was like, people need to know that people might be trying to start a family, you just can't.
True.
And then when you say those things, it is like there were so many people that would say stuff to us and they didn't know that
Yeah.
we were going through that, and we played it off too. Like when we used to tell people, nah, we don't want kids right now, like that is not in our sight.
Yeah.
But really we were trying,
Right.
but we would just play it off, right?
Because you didn't
And-
know.
Right, yeah, and that's just who we are as a couple, and it's who I am as a person too. And I also love surprises. So like I, in the back of my mind, I was going to be like, woo, I get to surprise everybody. Like it's going to be great. And so I then, gained all this information and I was like, this is stuff that like people need to know.
Yeah, definitely.
And I've really felt like, when you go through high school, you take family life and they're like, you have sex, you get pregnant.
What?
Lies.
News.
Lies.
Oh,
like,
okay.
I feel like that's what the girls were taught anyway. I don't know what y'all were taught in family life.
I think probably something similar. I don't fucking know.
But
have any idea.
I just felt like,
Both of us. Yeah, I remember seeing gross pictures. That's all. Yeah, really gross.
Okay,
They were
well-
like, this is what happens if you have sex. And then it was the nastiest thing.
it's not us, it's the neighbor.
Oh, okay. And it was like the nastiest picture you've ever seen. And it
Okay.
was like, all right, well, I'm scared of women now. So
Well, I just felt like it was like, I don't know. They did 100%. And maybe this is different depending on where people went to school, but I feel like the public school system really fails you when it comes to sex ed.
Definitely.
Like, and because you think you have sex, you get pregnant, and that's not the case.
Oh.
So I just felt like, okay, I'm starting to learn this stuff. Other people need to learn. Like other people can learn too. Like, and then be more socially aware as well. And so I started making the videos
trying to
kind
break-
of for myself.
you're trying to break down like the stigmas around
Yeah,
words that people say, like
right,
infertility and
right,
things
and
like
the way
that.
that you act towards people
Yeah.
too, like. So I started making the videos again, like kind of for myself, and then I got some followers,
Nice.
and I had women commenting on it, and they're like, "This is so helpful," like, I totally feel this, or I went through this, and I was like, oh, like. I had people, messaging me on TikTok
That's so cool.
and asking me questions
Yeah.
about, what did I go through? Like, what was my experience? Like, I'm starting to do this too, and I'm scared of this.
Yeah.
And
so
so
you're
like,
like helping people walk through it like on their side. too.
yeah. So I started like, I kept up with them and started making, more videos, and it really got hyped up when we started actually doing our fertility treatments. And I got this, like, started getting this huge following.
Yeah. And you were just documenting like
And
the
I was just
treatments and-
documenting like what I was going through, what we were going through as a couple, the testing.
Wow.
And then it got to like, the egg retrieval. So when they retrieved my eggs, and then the process of like making an embryo and how many we ended up with, and like all this stuff.
Wow.
And so then
It's almost Easter and they went on an egg hunt.
I know,
That's so
crazy,
fitting. Right,
wow.
anyway, sorry.
I'm
That wasn't funny. That's not funny at all. Cut.
dead. No,
Cut
keep
that.
that in there, please. So we ended up getting pregnant through IVF, and which is a fertility treatment.
Okay.
And I made this compilation video, and so basically, after we had started trying to have a baby,
Yeah.
and it didn't. After several months of not becoming pregnant, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna record myself every time I test.
Okay.
Because I know when I've gone through a couple of not, I'm gonna be so excited when I do.
True.
So I was like, I want to get this
It'll
like
be like
reaction.
a total surprise too.
Yeah. So I started recording myself every time I would look at a test each month.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
And so I had all of these videos of negative test after negative test after negative test. And I put them all in a compilation that led up to us together looking at our positive tests.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it blew up.
Did it really?
Yes, yeah, like 4.3 million
Oh,
views. Like just went absolutely
That's
nuts.
so cool. Just from the like build up of you kind of building that little following. And
Yeah,
kind
it
of
was
teaching
just like
people.
it was
Nice.
one, like, yeah, just a little video, and
Yeah.
and then it just went crazy. Like
That's-
in the matter of like 2 nights.
Yeah.
It just
That's
went
insane.
poof, and I was like, holy crap. Like
Yeah.
this is wild.
What do you do? Like what happened? What's that been like? Like, have you been getting more messages and things like that?
I did get a little more messages after that. And to another side of it too, like, gosh, there's some negativity on social media. But I just did my best to. Oh yeah, people were hating on Eli and his reaction. Like they didn't think that he reacted appropriately.
Aw,
but
man.
I mean, so to sum it all up, basically, like, we're standing there in the bathroom, and I look at it and I just immediately drop to the floor sobbing.
Oh, yeah.
And he
Aw.
just kind of like stands there in shock.
Yeah.
And he looks at me and he's like, why do you always sit down and cry? Like,
He was probably like, what's going on?
yeah, and he's used to that, and it's
Yeah.
funny because when he proposed to me, I did the same
You
thing.
sat
I
down and
sat
cried.
down and cried,
That's funny.
and so that's why he made that comment.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he's like, "Come here," and like like gets me up off the floor, and I'm just like boo-hooing, right? And I think it's just people were like, "Oh my gosh," like. Just the rudest comments,
Yeah,
right? Like,
I get that.
why? Like, he doesn't love her, like, because of his reaction, or like,
They're
you should have
Russian.
sat down on the floor and cried with her. Like, no, he was
Crocodile.
he
What?
was in shock.
Yeah.
Everyone shows emotion differently. And mine is to sit down on the floor and sob.
Yeah.
And Eli just was to stand there in shock.
I think
like,
if I just found out I was going to be a dad, I think I'd probably stand there in shock, in silence, just like
Right,
that. Yeah, that's
right.
exactly how I'd react. I'd be like,
But yeah, so
Uh.
you deal with, and then so when I first started testing, it was always my goal to surprise him. And I had bought like a hat for him and this little onesie, and it was always my goal to be like, for me to know and find out, and then for to present this to
oh,
him.
I thought you bought a onesie
Right?
for him.
No.
I was like, wait.
No, like a little
wouldn't-
baby onesie,
Okay.
with a Friends reference on it because we love Friends,
Yeah.
the TV show.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, and so all of my other tests, I was by myself, and obviously with going through IVF, there are no secrets. He was with me the whole time. He he knew that we had transferred this embryo and that we could be pregnant. There was no hiding it from him. So obviously he was with me, but because all the rest were by myself, and the one where we found out he was with me, people were like, "Oh, that's fake. You knew.
No,
That's
it
why
wasn't."
your husband was with you this time."
But he wasn't.
I know. But so you got to learn to ignore it. Like
Yeah,
with the coolness of like, oh wow, like I kind of went viral.
True.
There comes negativity
some
with it
negativity
too.
with
But
it,
yeah,
yeah.
so I continued to like make some more videos afterwards about like how my pregnancy was going,
Yeah.
and all this other stuff, and then I made videos literally all the way up until we had Millyanne.
Oh wow. I didn't know
Yeah, so and then I made a video of us like leaving the hospital, of like the dad walk, because they made me be wheeled out in a wheelchair, and like so he had to carry her. So like have a video of him like walking out the hospital carrying her in the carrier. So cute. But that's literally the last video that I posted, and it's been radio silence since.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because
Nice.
I mean,
like that. Up and now you. Hey.
I'm learning to be a mom.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and as long as we waited and prepared, nothing prepares you to be a parent.
Yeah.
And to me, learning to be a mom and going back to work, because some moms choose to stay at home, and so they have that extra time to still, create content. And some moms go back to work and still create content. Good for
Yeah.
you. That's great. I can't balance that.
That's
And I
true.
want to be first and foremost her mother,
Of course.
and not a content creator.
Right.
I don't need the income. Like I made a couple bucks, off of TikTok.
Yeah. Did you really?
Yeah.
Nice, that's cool.
Not really, not a
Yeah.
lot of money.
Yeah.
But I did make, I had a couple videos that,
Cool.
again, kind of had a good amount of viewing that made me some money. But I wanted to focus on learning how to be a mom. Like I didn't, and that was it was brand new to me.
Right.
And
But still, I mean, she's not. How old is she now?
she's 7.5 months
yeah,
old.
so still kind of new. Like you're still
Yeah,
figuring
and
it out.
it's ever changing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
once you think here's
You're-
something new.
Yeah,
Like
I still consider you a new mom. Like you're
I
still.
consider myself. I
Yeah.
feel like I'll always be a new mom.
Yeah,
like,
probably, yeah.
Because, like I said, it's ever changing.
Yeah,
like
it's always
she is
something new.
literally so different now
Yeah.
than she was just 7 months
and
ago.
different than she will be 7 months from now.
Correct.
Too. Yeah.
So I went radio silent, and
Nice.
I had my moment. It was cool.
There you go.
And
and
then
you
we
can always
moved
go
on.
back to it. I'm sure if like it's a
Oh yeah.
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 Me,
I mean, which
you got the followers, you get the secret now. You know what it is.
yeah, but it's
Reminds me, I
it's
should've-
a lot of work, like having to sit there and edit a video, which I mean, you get having
Yeah.
to sit here edit a podcast.
It
like
takes some time.
it would, especially if you want it to look nice and flow
Yeah.
nice. Yeah,
The
it takes
reason-
some time.
The reason I didn't do the video, I was gonna do video today, but I'm gonna invest in a better like video camera because now I'm just using like my work phone and a tripod. So, but yeah, the reason I didn't mess with video today was just because I didn't want to like bother with editing it and stuff. So I'll just
Right.
do the audio, and then yeah. But
Maybe
now I'm thinking, now that I know you're TikTok famous, maybe I should have done video. But
why?
I can capitalize on your fame.
Oh,
I can mooch off you.
yeah, send it.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I mean,
Re-record it. Let's go.
something tells me none of those ladies are gonna want to listen to my show. I don't know, but
Maybe.
maybe you never know.
But yeah, so that was a pretty cool,
Yeah.
pretty cool little moment there.
is
You know,
cool.
my couple of my parents found me found my TikTok
Yeah.
from that, which was honestly last year. I had a really great class. I had a really great group of supportive parents even before they found me on TikTok.
Okay.
So that it was pretty cool. A lot of them.
I just missed. I went to go drink a can of beer and it missed my mouth completely. It poured all over my chest.
But anyway, once they saw it, they reached out to me. A couple of them did, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, I like just saw your video.
Mm-hmm.
I am so happy for you." Which was, you know, that was really cool.
Yeah, that is.
And I didn't post it. I didn't post that video until after I had told my students. So I actually told my students too. I did like a little like surprise announcement to my students
that's really
that I
cool.
was pregnant. So they already knew because I knew a couple of the parents followed me on TikTok already.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't post the video of, you know, on TikTok stating that we were pregnant until I posted it on my own social media, told my own family,
Okay.
told you know, my coworkers, and told my students, and then I posted.
I got you.
Yeah,
You didn't
the
want
video
everyone
later.
who like was actually close to you and
Right, to
you
know
didn't want-
beforehand,
Yeah, you
right,
didn't want them
or
to
say
find out.
something about it.
Yeah.
yeah,
You didn't want
yeah.
them to find out through social media.
No,
You wanted
absolutely
to tell them.
not. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. I mean, obviously we told people in different stages. Two of my, or I guess three of my coworkers, I literally told the next day
Oh, really?
after. Oh yeah, after
Nice.
I took the pregnancy test, which a lot of people probably will frown upon, but they also one of them knew that we were doing our transfer, that we were transferring an embryo, because she also went through IVF.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, she at the time, she had just had her second IVF baby,
Wow.
that a couple months before. So she was a huge help to me the entire IVF process. So I told her that we were transferring an embryo. We only told two people. I told her and Eli's brother Dale.
Oh wow. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, and because we wanted it to be a surprise, we actually ended up transferring earlier than we thought we were going to.
Okay.
So when we found out we were transferring early, we were like, let's not tell anybody.
Yeah. Was that just like the doctor called you and like, hey, we can do this?
Well,
soon?
yeah. So they gave us like a timeline once we had, once they actually created our embryos, and they told us, basically it was the end of 2022 when we created our embryos, and they were like, well, the way it lines up, we probably won't be able to do your transfer until January of 2023. And
Okay.
or no, is that right? No, it would have been end of 23. No, I said the end of 22. So it would have been the end of 23.
I heard 2024 last. Anyway.
2024 is when
okay.
we had Millian.
Okay.
So in order for it to line up, sorry. So yes,
Okay.
it would have been the end of 2023.
Okay.
Is when the embryos were created, and due to the timeline and the holidays, they were said that we probably wouldn't transfer our embryo until January of 24.
Okay, that makes sense.
And that's just what they gave us. The way it worked out, they ended up calling us and they were like, "Hey, we've got your transfer day for December 13th."
Okay.
of 2023.
Nice.
And we had already,
That's-
we were pretty open with our friends and family about what we were going through.
Yeah.
And we had already told them, you know, it'll probably be January.
Mhm.
So when we found out that it got bumped and we had an official day of
Yeah.
December 13th, we were like, let's not tell anybody.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so we literally told his brother, and I told my one coworker
Mm-hmm.
because again, she had been through the process. She really talked me through the
Right.
whole thing. So I told her. And so when we found out, I literally busted up into her room that morning and like
door
whipped
down.
out the pregnancy
Yeah.
test, and she was like, "Oh my god!"
That's awesome.
And then my other two coworkers that I was super close with, who we were on the same team the year before I moved down to third grade. I went in there. They knew we were going through IVF, but they didn't know we had transferred. So
Right.
I went in there and told them. I mean, we were all crying. Like it was,
Aw.
because they knew, you know, everything that we had went through. But
It's a
yeah, so
journey.
we told
Yeah,
people
it's a-
in different stages.
It's a process. Yeah.
Right, yeah, told my parents, then told, aunts and uncles and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, once everybody in the immediate family knew and we got further along, obviously we announced it to, on the internet.
On the
and,
internet,
yeah,
to
like
the
our
rest of the world.
personal Facebook pages.
Yeah.
And then later on that day, I think I announced it on TikTok.
Okay.
After I had,
your-
to my personal page and,
Gotcha.
stuff like
You
that.
told all the close family and friends and all that, and then
Correct.
you told your legions of adoring fans. on
Correct.
TikTok.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah, I got you. I understand.
But yeah, and some of my parents found it and they were messaging me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, Miss Patterson, I just cried."
Aw,
Like,
that's cool.
yeah. So that was, because I messaged them and told them that the kids found out some really
Yeah.
special information today. But obviously, I didn't go into detail and was like, "Oh yeah, my husband and I went through this whole ordeal
Right.
to get to this point."
Yeah.
Some of the ones that on TikTok figured it out that we did.
Okay.
And they were so supportive.
Nice. They were a little
I
more
had
supportive, a little extra supportive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I had one of my students, her aunt crocheted me a blanket, a baby
Aw,
blanket.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. And she brought that in, for my birthday, or not for my birthday, for Teacher Appreciation Week.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my gifts were baby gifts.
Aw,
And
that's
it
really
was
nice.
just the sweetest thing. I did a gender reveal with my class too.
That's
And
awesome.
so a couple of them brought me in after I told them the gender of baby P, because that's what we called the baby for so long.
Called her Baby P.
Baby P.
Nice.
So after we did a gender reveal with them, a couple of them brought me in some girl stuff, and I just had such a supportive family families last year, a good group. And that was just wonderful. And now I see them sometimes go, for different school events, and they're always like, "How's the baby?"
Oh, that's
And,
incredible.
like my kids will come and see me, and they'll be like, they still call her Baby P.
Oh,
And
that's
they'll be
so
like,
sweet.
"How's Baby P?
That's
How's Baby
adorable.
P?" And
Yeah.
then, once we picked a name too, they wanted to know. They had to know
had
the
to know the
baby's
name,
name. So I think I told them like on the last week of school.
Oh, did
I
you really?
finally told them the baby's name.
Right, because they were going on to the next class. So
Yeah, it was whatever.
Yeah.
And so I finally told them, and so a couple of them they'll be like, "How's Millie Ann?"
That's so cool.
And they just love it, and of course, Eli will bring her up to school
Nice.
every now and then,
Yeah.
and they just get so excited
Do they
to
really?
see her. But they
That's so
kind of
cool.
went on the journey with
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
which was really cool.
Yeah,
so.
those kids will probably they'll always remember that girl. Like,
They
that was a
will.
part of
That
their,
group will. Not only were they just a good group, and
Yeah.
I had supportive parents.
I remember you saying that specifically about your class last year.
Yes, they were
really,
a
really
good group.
supportive. Yeah.
They really were.
I'm not just like saying that. I really do remember you saying that.
Yes, yeah. They will forever hold a special place in my heart for sure. I
Yeah.
think, my very first year group of kids who are about to graduate
What?
in
Shut up. No way.
yeah, not next year, but
Ah.
like not next year, the year after, I think. I think
Oh,
they're they're sophomores right now. Yeah, which is so wild to me.
How do you feel about that?
I can't comprehend
It's
it.
really
Like,
tough for me to comprehend.
yes, it's so crazy.
Whoa.
And so those kids, my first year teaching kids will obviously always hold
Sure.
a huge spot in like my teaching heart. But my class last year,
Yeah.
I think will also they take a big chunk of that heart too.
Oh.
Just
That's really sweet.
they rode that ride with me.
Yeah.
And that that's pretty cool.
I like to think that some of my teachers remember my classes that way. You know what I mean? I like to think that.
hope, you know,
I hope so.
I hope some of the, and I mean, I still, a couple of my families from my first year, I specifically one family, I mean, will message me
That's
and
awesome.
say his achievements now. I mean, he is a 4.0 student.
That's incredible.
He is in the JROTC at school. He swims. Our school like adopted a swim team. We didn't used to have one.
Okay. Cool.
And he has just blossomed.
That's incredible.
And his mom will tag me
That's
in
nice.
every post, and a couple of other like of his younger teachers too. There's like 3 of us,
Yeah.
and she is like, all credit go to these ladies
That's
right
so
here,
cool.
and it just makes me like tear
When
up
he's-
every time. Like,
so that's it goes a long way. So I'm friends like my first grade teacher, I think, and maybe my first grade teacher for sure, and then I think my 5th grade teacher. I'm friends with them on Facebook now.
I
so
love
like,
that.
that was 20 years ago
Yeah,
at this
I
point.
know.
So like I still keep up with them. So those kids,
Yeah.
I bet you 20 years from now they'll still be keeping up with you.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always tell them, you know, I'm like, when you graduate, then I can be, you know,
Yes.
your friend on
Yep,
Facebook,
that's
whatever.
exactly it.
And it's funny, the same student was at our school for a technology day
Oh really?
earlier in the year. And one of the teachers came and they were like, he is here. He wants to talk to you.
Oh,
He
yeah.
wants to see you. So I went down. They were in the library. And I mean, I kind of went in and they were doing stuff. And, you know, he was working with the kids.
Yeah.
And he caught sight of me and he, biggest grin,
That's
hugest
jumping up and
wave.
down,
Oh, yeah.
waving.
And he came over and he was like, how are you? How's Eli? Like,
Oh.
I said, he's great. Like, I said, and he was like, my mom said you had a baby. And I said, yes,
Yes.
I did.
Yep,
like,
yep.
and he was like, that's so cool. Like, and that's just so sweet.
Yeah.
And seeing those families is huge.
Yeah.
Like, it's just awesome.
That is very, very cool.
So I hope I'm doing something right.
think
you
you
know,
are.
and I mean, I might be, I guess so, but
it sounds like you are.
you
It
know,
sounds
that
like
you have
you're-
tough years where you wonder.
I'm sure.
That's for
But
sure.
then you also have good years where I'm sure like kids like that will remember
Oh,
you. And
yeah.
like I said, 10, 20 years from now, you'll be getting messages on Facebook from kids you used to teach. and,
Yeah,
you
that would
know.
be so cool.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll.
That would be-
it's-
that would be
yeah,
great.
You're still like kind of I mean, you're young. You're
Yeah,
still
oh, yeah.
starting your teaching career. So
Yes.
I mean,
We have years until retirement, people.
Yep.
Years.
Yep. So in the next, God knows how many years, but I'm sure you'll.
25.
I don't want to talk about it, but we'll get. Well, I'm sure you'll get plenty of students
25.
that come back and be like, hey, you
Yeah.
you changed my life for the better, or whatever.
That'd
So,
be super cool. That's the goal.
yeah,
In
it
all
is.
of this, I could care less about, I mean, obviously it's important to teach them math. It's important to teach them reading and,
Yeah.
things like that. But I would much rather them look at me and be like, you taught me so many life lessons
Yeah. You taught
rather
me-
than like, oh my God, I learned decimals from you.
Yeah, you taught me how to be a good person. You taught me
Right.
how to be a upstanding.
Yes.
You taught me manners. That's something.
Right.
I
Oh,
like, yeah.
gosh, yeah. Some of these, I hope
Yeah.
some of these kids come back and say that.
Hey, there you go.
they needed it,
Yeah.
and we've been trying real hard.
I bet. Okay. Well, I think. Oh, actually, I did have one. Well,
Send it.
all right. So I'd have one more question. So, do you think I know I kind of mentioned it earlier, but you're a new parent.
Yes.
And I know that you're.
Million.
Yeah, Millianne
My
is still
girl.
very young. I know she's still a baby. But do you think that's changed your methods of teaching or how you treat kids at all when you're at school?
It's yes and no.
Yeah.
So, I think, in a way, yes, because now as a parent,
Mhm.
and this sounds like kind of negative, and I hate to sound this way, but it really opens my eyes to see what these parents are missing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and that makes me sad in a way. But it also opens my eyes to these parents who are going above and beyond, right? I like,
Yeah.
the ones who respond to my emails or
Shout out you.
I know, which I mean, people are like, what? Like, no, really, like,
Actually responds. to
this
emails.
is one of those years, right?
Yeah.
They're also working
Yep.
parent, most of them working parents,
I couldn't.
and
I
they're
work a full-time job. I couldn't. I can barely handle my shit right now. As
And
just
take care of a
me.
kid?
Yeah, I would never be able to.
right.
So,
And they're going above and beyond
Yeah.
for their kid. They're helping them with their homework,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's not required. They are, because we give homework, but it's not required that they complete it. You know, they're making sure that they let's not talk, that's a whole nother rant. So
All right.
this is a step up though, because we used to not be able to give homework at all.
What?
Could not.
What?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Like, unless it was an assignment that the student did not finish in class,
Yeah.
and were given opportunities to finish in class and still didn't do it, then you could send it home as homework.
Literally, the only reason my grades were bad in school was because I didn't do my homework. I didn't do my homework.
You'd be doing pretty good.
God
damn
it. All right.
But yeah, so just
Can't
you
have
know,
shit.
seeing the parents that are taking their extra time with their student, and you know that I'm like, okay, you're doing great.
Yeah.
Like,
They go the extra mile.
right?
Yeah.
Yes, and I guess I see that a little bit more now as a parent myself, knowing, like, you know, wanting to come home sometimes and just turn it off, and you can't.
Yeah.
Like,
I can't imagine.
especially, you know, being a teacher, I am on. Not saying that other jobs are not, but like,
Yeah.
I am on all day long.
Yeah.
You know, they say the average person answers, you know, a couple hundred questions in
Oh
a
my
day.
God.
A teacher answers like 10,000
Yeah,
questions
multiply that
in
by
a
30.
day. Like,
How big is your class size? Like 20 kids?
I have 18 this
18?
year, which is a small group.
Now, multiply that by 15 questions per kid per day.
Oh shoot,
Every day.
15
Yeah.
per day? I wish. Those kids are asking me like literally 100 questions per kid per day.
Jesus.
Like, you know, and so
You are on all the time. Like, you have to be on all the time for that.
yes, yes, and, you
That
know,
would
with the
kill me.
exception of maybe lunch and planning, which I say maybe because practically the only consequence that you can give these children these days is silent lunch, which is in the classroom with me,
That's
meaning
so-
I don't get a lunch.
Yeah, you punish yourself.
Correct. Or,
That's
you know, my planning time, which half the time I'm in a meeting,
Yeah.
which still requires me to be on. So, like,
Generally, when is like planning time and stuff like that for teaching? I never meant to ask that.
so
I'm down
it,
with that,
it depends on the grade level.
Oh, okay.
It's staggered. So your planning time is when the kids are in resource or specials. So like
Oh, okay.
PE, art, library,
Gotcha.
music.
Do you ever do like any planning like at home and stuff like that too, or not really? No.
No,
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
personally, because they're not paying me to work at
Hey,
home.
hell yeah.
So
I'm
if
all
it
for
don't,
that.
if it doesn't get done
Yeah.
in that school day, it is a rarity that I bring it home.
I like that.
My first year,
I fully support that.
my first year teaching, I brought everything home.
Did you really?
I had to complete specific lesson plans,
Yeah.
like all that crazy stuff, and it's all I did all weekend long. I had no life whatsoever.
Damn.
They didn't pay me any more to do that. So I got to the point where I was like, you know what? If it don't get done, it don't get done.
Hell
Because
yeah.
guess what? It's still gonna be there when I get back the next day.
Absolutely, goddamn.
Yeah, so I mean, like, and some people will judge me upon that, and that's fine. But no, they do not pay me.
Nope.
Especially now having Millie Ann, I will say that is
Yes.
a big thing that has changed.
Family first, I'm sure. Right?
Oh yeah, I want to come home and I want to spend what little time I have with her, because she goes to bed early.
Right, and that's what really that's what matters.
Yes, I was with I was helping other people's children all day long,
Now it's your children.
trying to educate them, trying to correct and manage them.
Yeah.
I want to come home and you know, I'm putting someone else's family first
Yeah,
all
true.
day long.
That is what you're doing.
When
kind
I
of.
come home, I want to put my family first.
I get that.
And I can't do that if I'm doing more work. Still technically putting other people's family first.
Yeah.
So I think that's what a lot of people got to think about is, you know, a teacher constantly puts someone else's family
Right.
above their own 7 hours of the day.
Hmm.
It is only fair for them to go home and put their own family first for at least that couple of hours that they are at home
Yeah.
after those children leave the classroom.
I would say that's fair.
Yeah, and a lot of parents, like, I've had parents who message me at 7, 8 o'clock at night, and if I don't respond, they are calling the school when they open at 8 a.m.
That's crazy.
Because I did not respond to their email.
For the audience, I'm in sales and I don't answer. I literally get paid directly from answering emails and stuff like that, and I don't answer emails after
But I
like
mean,
5:30.
parents get mad over the wildest
do.
things. So I will tell this
They're also
little
so-
story. Like, the craziest thing that a parent has ever gotten. Like, I mean, I'm outraged with me. Outraged with me.
Oh, shit.
Was so one year I had 3 sets of students with the same first name. So like
Okay. You had like a
two
Cindy-
Johnnies, two Cindy's, and two Rachels or whatever.
Yeah. That's
So
a lot. Sorry.
yes,
I didn't
it
mean to- I
is a
wasn't-
lot. It is.
That's tough.
It's so it was hard.
I was computing.
You know, you call Johnny and both of them are looking. They don't know who you're talking to,
Yeah,
right?
true.
So my big thing is I would address them by their last name. So I would say, "Oh, Mr.
Susan.
Albus,
Yes.
come here."
That's me.
Right. Okay, that was the best way for them to know who I was talking to.
Yeah.
I felt like it was pretty polite.
Makes sense.
No. I was an awful human being. I'm a horrible teacher.
I knew it.
I was depriving him of his childhood
Huh?
because I was addressing him by his
No
last
way.
name.
That's
Yes.
crazy.
Yes, literally the words awful human being came out of this woman's
That's
mouth.
insane. That's literally how you address people, by their last name.
Yes, but I was depriving him of his childhood. Never should I ever address them by their last name.
Uh-huh. Well, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's the dumbest thing to ever get upset about. It's literally
Here's
their last
okay.
name.
You want me to make
Your
it even?
family name.
You want me to make it even? That was his father, not
Okay.
him. So I was, if anything, I was to call him baby so and so. No,
That's dumb. That's not how that
Yeah,
works.
yeah. And it's not even like I was singling this kid out, right?
Yeah, you just like-
there was several students,
Yeah.
and even students that didn't have somebody with the same
You'd
name
still
as
call
them.
them by
I
their
would
last
still call them by their last name every so often.
I've been called by my last name by
Right.
multiple teachers all the
No,
time.
I
Multiple people.
was a awful human being.
That's crazy.
But here's the makes this more crazy.
Yeah.
This same parent heard me do it earlier in the year and didn't say anything.
And didn't say.
She did not have a problem with it until like April.
She was looking for something to be mad about.
And then the
She
next year,
Yeah.
when this kid had a totally different teacher, she came in for a meeting and still brought me up and how much she hated me and how much I was like, "Are you kidding?"
What is
And
the
but listen,
deal?
she wanted me to apologize to her student,
No.
but did not want me to tell him why I was
That's the
apologizing to
dumbest-
him.
That doesn't make any sense.
Right?
That's the opposite of an apology.
I
That's
said
not what an
I
apology is.
refused. I refused. I said, "Ma'am, if I apologize to him, I will be explaining to him
Yeah.
why I'm apologizing if it
Because
offends him so bad."
Saying I'm sorry with no
She
context.
said, "Absolutely not. You are not to tell him why you are apologizing. You just need to state that you are sorry."
No.
I was like,
Eat my whole ass. no.
that's probably the wildest thing that has ever happened to me as a teacher, and it was I just
It's so dumb.
yeah, it's really crazy. But yeah, I think
Anyway.
people, now that I have Millie and I look at work a little bit differently, and I maybe I am. I don't know that I would say that I'm a little bit more loving. No, I don't think that I am. Like I love those kids as they're my own,
Sure.
even before I had Millie, and I'm gonna be honest, not all of them. Like but I'm not trying to be mean, but like
Hell yeah.
if you are so incredibly disrespectful to me all year long,
Definitely.
I'm gonna do what I need to do for you. I'm gonna teach you,
Yeah.
but like I'm not gonna sit here and say that I love you.
No, definitely not.
No, but do I have kids that I have grown to love because I've been with them 7 hours a day for 7 months?
Yeah. And who knows
Yes,
who knows like what
absolutely.
you Yeah, who knows
But
what you
some,
helped them
but if you're
through.
gonna sit here and you're gonna roll your eyes at me and tell me you ain't gotta listen to me, and
Yeah, no, see-
your mama come up here and tell me that I can't tell you what
No,
to
no,
do,
no, that's not how this
I
works.
do not love you.
That's
Like
not how this works.
you are a student in my classroom. I will educate you to the
Yeah.
best of my ability, but
At that point you become a job.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what some parents, need to learn is I think that's our biggest problem now as a society is parents want to be friends,
Yeah.
not parents.
Friends with their kids.
Correct.
Yeah, not parents.
You
with
need to
their kids.
parent first and
Yeah.
foremost. Being a friend can come second
Definitely.
because they need to have a respect, and that's what I tell my kids all the time. I'm like, I'm an adult.
Yeah.
I said, if I ask you to do something, you need to do it, unless it is unmoral or going to hurt someone. And no one would ever ask you to do that in
Yeah.
this building. So if I tell you to be quiet, just
Yeah,
be quiet.
yeah. It's for like
It's for a
good
reason.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
No,
yeah,
I get
that
that.
was probably the craziest thing to ever happen via parent.
Yeah, parents can be nuts.
But
to
kids
teachers.
do some crazy stuff too.
I'm
But
sure. But all right. Well, I'll tell you what. We have been talking for damn near 2 hours, 20 minutes.
Holler.
Do you think you want to wrap it up or?
Yeah, send it.
Yeah. All right.
Wrap it
Well,
up.
cool. Well, Ree, it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for letting me
Thanks
talk
for
to you.
having me.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a pleasure. Everyone, please follow us on Spotify. Give us 5 stars.
Yes, give him 5 stars.
Yeah, please. Or
It's a
4.
require. That's everyone's homework.
Yeah, there you
Please go on and give Tyler
That's right.
and Work Friends Podcast 5 stars. That's your homework.
Yes.
You will earn a sticker.
Please write that down in your agenda.
Yes.
And yeah. But anyway, all right, cool. Well, thank you all for listening to another episode of Work Friends Podcast. Bye.
Bye.